Hello, and welcome to a lovely episode of BACKCHAT. This time we've got on Wyatt's... What is the opposite of biggest fan? Like the focus of your simping. The simp-y...
I don't know what you're going
What
on.
are you talking? What?
We've got on
talking
Asuna, and
okay.
When I was sat down here with Asuna beforehand, while you were off doing whatever stuff you were doing upstairs,
Yeah.
Asuna said, "Hey, listen, I don't mind that it's only the two of you doing the interview, as long as that Wyatt guy's around, because he gasses me up constantly, all the time."
No, it is actually true, and it's because we were talking about this before, but when I spot...
Are you about to open the ancient tomes, talking about your CS career?
Yeah, I am. But when I spot the needle in the haystack, the diamond in the rough, and then it does turn out to be a diamond, I'm looking for my credit. And so I talk about how good Asuna is any chance I get, because, well, we were talking about this before the show, but many years ago when I was running a CS team in ESEA MDL, and Asuna was on a team called Recon 5 in Advanced, the division below. I was interested in their team when I was looking for a new one, and I was interested in him specifically because could see the talent level there. And then also just, I mean, it is true. Since the beginning of Valorant, I actually went back, and because I remember, I think on the first episode I did of Plat Chat, I said that I thought Asuna would be a top 3 player.
Oh yeah, the narrative hasn't changed, has it?
No.
It's just continued the whole way through.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to keep it up and keep saying how good he is, so then I can get the credit for the thing I also said, which is a bad narrative. But
I know that Asuna on one of the Immortal Minds episodes was talking about like the money he was earning from a pro career, and I think you said at the time like, I don't exactly know what I'm going to spend it on or like what I'm saving it for. I think you've been sending checks to Wyatt the whole time. You're just paying him under the table to keep gassing you up.
I want the Plat Chat videos to be just about me at some point. We're gonna have our own episode.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna be like watching anime together or something. I don't even know.
Well, this one is actually all about you. That is the entire point, even though we haven't asked you a single question up until this point.
I've been talking about myself.
Wyatt's
just
been
ego-driven.
All right, so
Wyatt story.
the place I wanted to begin this interview, Asuna, was talking to you about the transition from Immortals over to 100 Thieves. Because even though that wasn't that long ago, honestly, it feels like anything before that is genuinely dusty and old. It's ancient. So I wanted to talk a bit about that transition, because when you came into Immortals, you're like, the Immortals brand was at the time, and I think still is to some degree, like very up-and-coming players. But if you move to 100 Thieves, you're no longer up-and-coming, you've up-and-come. You're like, the expectations are on you at that point. So what was that transition like from a player's perspective?
I didn't really like set into me like how much of a difference it was, I guess, because like I don't really follow like esports that like heavily. I just play the game literally like all day. I'm not even a fan of any teams or players. And like when I was transitioning as a player, just like play style wise, I'll go with that first. It felt the same really. Just a lot more. I have to think about my actions, I guess, because on Immortals we kind of just ran it loose, JCC and he would call something and we would just run around and we just frag out, and it was kind of like it was pretty good. And we weren't the best team, but we were having a good time, I guess, on Immortals, you could say. And then with Steel, me and Quan, we had to like tone it down a little bit. We couldn't just go ape mode. We had to think. So that was like the difference in play style. We had to like play off of our teammates, like ask for utility. We couldn't like dry swing anymore as much, but I mean, it makes you a better player.
Do you not yearn at all for the simpler times? Where you
the simpler times.
Wide swing without utility, no thoughts.
Just aim. Yeah, man, those were the days.
What were the major differences from Immortals to 100 Thieves? And I don't just mean in terms of like playstyle. I mean like in terms of the transition, maybe expectations, the surrounding infrastructure of the teams, how different people approached it. Like what were some of the differences you realized when you came into 100 Thieves?
Like how much more serious these guys were. Like it really felt like they just were set in and they just like wanted to get the job done. Like on Immortals, we got 3rd place. We're happy. Like we're ecstatic. You know what I mean? But obviously with these guys, it's a little bit different. And even with the fans, like on Immortals, like I look at like the Reddit match threads. The Immortals games, they don't get as many comments, so you can just assume how many fans there are. More with like 100 Thieves, and they're a lot more like, I'll say, passionate about like their players. And then the vice versa, like the haters are also, there's a lot more of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just comes with the job. You know what I mean? It is interesting though to see like the difference between org and org, even though like I feel like as a player I didn't improve as much, but my like attention got bigger. Uh, and the what else? Like the infrastructure. I mean, going to boot camp, we didn't have that in Immortals, obviously. I don't even think any other teams are really doing that in NA at least.
Yeah.
I know Oceania. Those players they just came over.
Yeah, they
Uh,
did. They just touched
yeah,
down on North American shores. I'm interested
we
about
played
that.
them. Apparently, there's a rumor going on that they're cheating. Some people thought they were cheating when they came over. It was pretty funny. So I'm just imagining like this Oceania team to be ranked 128th. They play Sentinels and they beat them open qualifier. I had like that when I woke up, like because they probably won't get ranked, right?
Right,
They'll
right.
probably be like at the bottom of the bottom, and so they'll play like the third seed or the second seed or the first seed, and then it's just gonna be wild. I hope that game gets streamed.
So people thought they were cheating?
Yeah, like there's a clip of someone on Texas stream going like this is getting sidetracked totally, but whatever. There's a clip on Texas stream where it's like some guy thought he have you heard of Crunchy AU? This guy says
Yes.
he's an Australian pro, and like this guy's going on about how he thinks he's cheating, and like he's like, how can a player from Australia be even good at the game? He says like it's the funniest thing ever.
That's
Yeah,
interesting
that's pretty
because
good.
well, I guess
It's
it
on
has
Crunchy's
nothing to
Twitter.
do with nothing, but I am interested in seeing how that team does.
Yeah.
If people
Yeah,
already
same.
think they're cheating, maybe I don't know. Maybe they
They're
can
not.
get a
They're pretty good.
cheeky
I
upset.
haven't seen any of their duelist players, but I've played against Ian. He was playing Jett though, so not really much to take away. And
Yeah.
their Omen Crunchy AU, he seemed pretty like snappy aim. Uh, pretty good aim overall. I thought he was the duelist player when I was watching him, but he wasn't. He was the Omen.
Okay, so we got onto this
My
tangent
bad.
because you were talking about the boot camp at 100 Thieves
Yeah.
as well. I
Yeah,
think this is
my bad.
a pretty good time to just talk about it as well. Like within such an online era, it's very foreign to be doing boot camps and like having in-person interactions with your teammates. This isn't something that I don't think any other team is doing right now. I mean, the
No.
Brazilian teams are doing it because they have LAN events. Korean
maybe
teams are doing
Korean
it because
teams
they have
too.
LAN
Yeah.
events. But nobody in North America or Europe is doing it as far as... Oh, actually, Liquid did a boot camp as well. Half of their players moved out to the Netherlands and half of them just stayed where they were.
Didn't help.
No, it didn't
help,
particularly help.
unfortunately.
But I think there's
Cool, man.
it's interesting at least because it's not directly correlated to improved success. It's just it's supposed to help improve kind of the synergy and team dynamics and stuff like that. What have your experiences been like at the boot camp and getting your taste of, I guess, tier 1 infrastructure in an in-person feel as well?
It feels like mind blowing because like when you go like I'll be honest, they have this coffee machine. It is crazy. It makes coffee for you, and it's like there's buttons and you can have whatever you want. It is insane. So like that blew my mind right there. Like this thing costed like I think thousands of dollars. That like was
Right.
insane. I knew we were in a tier 1 infrastructure, as you say, when I saw that.
that's when you knew the goddamn coffee machine. I mean,
God, that's so fucking funny. But I think was it the like obvious evidence of expenditure that was the thing that was like mind blowing there?
I don't know. It just felt like so easy to like make coffee. I just put my cup under the thing and then just like latte and then like medium and then there it's done. It was like, wow, this is the life.
Have you ever worked with
life at the Cash App compound's different
Yeah.
for us mere mortals
Holy
here
shit,
at home. With
we didn't
French
realize what we were
press.
missing out on.
I feel like a fool French pressing this morning now. Embarrassing.
I don't even drink coffee and I want to be there.
Yeah.
So okay, but coffee makers aside, Keurigs aside, what is there? What was I gonna ask? Is there have you felt like a difference in your ability to perform as a player, given those circumstances? Being in the boot camp, having, I mean, 100 Thieves have a ton of staff around you guys, right? Like psychologists and I don't know, athletes.
We have a performance specialist. Yeah, so I've never had a performance specialist. We didn't have that in Immortals. So like what we do with him is like we talk to him and remember earlier before this we talked about how I didn't like going outside. Yeah.
Well,
So
I
he
mean,
makes us.
we talked about that before the show. Nobody else understands what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
You just sound like an
Yeah, yeah.
enormous weeb at this point.
So our performance specialist makes us or before like every match we like go outside and like we have like our rituals, I guess we call them. Hiko, Steel, Nitro, and Ethan. They like do
Blood
like
I
sacrifice.
was gonna say, Hiko sacrifices his teammates to the blood god so he can get
Yeah,
another
this is how he
clutch.
becomes a clutch god. This is how Spencer. We didn't do it. I'm joking, but we yeah, they do like stretches and stuff. I'm not really
Right.
into that. They like do sometimes they even do workouts in the morning. I'm not into that. The sun like hurts and stuff. So I mean that's like the performance specialist, and then like we also talk to him a lot about like team problems, and like he helps us out with like if anything's going wrong, and how to like transition from like Dicey to Ethan and stuff like that. So it was like really nice to have someone like who's not in the team to talk to, and not even like the coach, because like it's nice to have like a neutral guy and
Mm.
like a guy that's like just looking in and hearing all the players' POVs. So it's really nice to have like this kind of support stuff. And then whenever I go to the boot camp, it's always like I can feel like the side effects of LAN, I guess you can say, where like my setup feels off because I have an L desk.
Sure,
So
sure.
like I usually put my arm on the L desk, and so this is not there. So and it won't be there for LAN. So like I need to get used to that. And like it always feels weird after like for 3 days like getting used to it. And then finally I find like the perfect amount of room, and then I can frag out. So that's why I usually like struggle at the start, but I like these like whenever I'm at the boot camp. But then yeah, it feels like team chemistry wise, it feels really good because like you get to see the guys, and like I feel like everyone in the practice, like during practice, is a lot more focused compared to online, because like you're all there, you're all focusing. No one's like on Twitter, stuff like that. Uh, everyone's like there to to do the job when no one's like sidetracked.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel any added pressure with how much? I mean, just how much money, how many resources are going into this? Like, do you feel any added pressure because of that when you're playing, or doesn't cross your
No,
mind?
nah. I just assume these guys are like billionaires. They got money to spend. Not
I mean, that's
Yeah.
literally true.
like
Yep. Actually
that's
true.
how I like. If it was like a regular person, I'd feel way worse. Like on Recon 5, I felt bad because that guy was like trying to like really pay us. So you know what I mean. But these are like big orgs. And they're just like trying to support us. So I don't feel the pressure. It makes like I guess that's like the way I can play without any pressure, and it makes me play better. Just having that kind of mindset. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a good mindset or what, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to dig a bit into the team dynamic actually of 100 Thieves, because there's this narrative that's been going on for ages that I think also you helped perpetuate with that copy pasta that you had on Twitter about being the I can't even remember what it was, like anime warrior, like you. Can you remember what it was?
I think it was Ninja's reply where like I will sacrifice my life for the boomers, and
Yeah,
I will charge in first just to see them clutch. I think I said that during first strike. It's a pretty good
yeah,
tweet. I enjoyed it. Got me
yeah.
a lot of publicity.
Yeah, I mean that was a fantastic tweet. It was very funny. But there's been this this overarching narrative about 100 Thieves is that there's the boomers and then there's the zoomers. And I mean specifically when we're talking about when Dicey was still on the team as well. And they've picked up like 2 cracked developmental players, of which you're one of them. And then there's like this idea that they're gonna use their massive CS experience to kind of coach you through and develop you in that sense. That seems like a simplification, and it seems like all of the focus is then put on like Dicey and Asuna are the players that need to learn, rather than, I mean, these guys are new to Valorant as well. They're coming from
Yeah.
CS, but they're still going to have to develop, and we've seen that play out too. So how would you characterize the team dynamic within 100 Thieves, and how the experience and the veteran presence blends with the rookies?
Current or old? Sorry.
Let's start with old. I think like when the team was
Okay.
formed, because we'll get on to the more recent stuff later in the.
Yeah. When I first tried out with them, we had a tryout period, obviously, and then we got signed. You could clearly see the difference. Like, so we tried out with them early September, and then we did like 3 days of tryouts with them, like 3 days of scrims basically, and then 2 weeks later we tried out with them again, and you could literally see the difference in like how they improved in 2 weeks, which I thought was mind blowing. And even as the days went by, you could see how much they improved, which I feel like people don't really like. They always thought like me and Quan had to learn a lot. Dicey, sorry. Me and Dicey had to learn a lot. And I feel like they learned a lot as well. Like they improved a lot. And like you compare Steel from, obviously you can't because you don't have odds, but if you compare him from the first scrims, like the stuff he was throwing to now, he's literally like way better, like 10 times
Yeah.
better. Obviously Spencer, he learned solo lineups, you know what I mean? Like those are like just a natural thing to like learn, and he like got better at that and developed his own thing. Like, and then Nitro, he became the best omen in NA. So I mean, like I feel like the point you said about how these players also had to come from CS to Valorant, like I feel like they don't get enough credit of like learning the game as well, because like I feel like they did a lot as well. And then the internal team dynamic about how like we play and stuff, I feel like I mean it's generally kind of true, because like me and Quan were like entering in, and we would always just like play off of one another. Like if you noticed how we were always together in like the first strike days when we were like playing with one another. We were always like together on defense, usually on attack, and then like we would always like be one another, and we like got this like telepathy communication, like,
Yeah.
and it was good. We just knew what we were doing, and we didn't have to like calm. And it was like really nice. Uh, and then with the other three were just like supporting us, and we were just like fragging out, and that's how we did it back then.
Mm.
Is that good?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw
Okay.
a twinkle in his eye as he reminisced about the days with Dicey. But I assume to some extent, even just as like a being your friend, you miss playing with Dicey then.
Yeah, I'm his friend still, obviously. So I mean, of course, I wouldn't want to see him go, but business is business. Um, if like the team wants to move to that direction and they believe it's better, I will obviously like not hold us back in any way mentally. I feel like that's like where like the performance specialist is really good at, you know what I mean? Like helping me go through this like stage transitioning from Dicey to Ethan. Also like Ethan's insane, and like you know what I mean? Like I like the guy as well. Like I got to meet him in person, and he's a funny guy, and so I mean,
Yeah.
no hard feelings.
Yeah. Is it fair to say then that you were like closest with Dicey on the team, considering that the others came from quite a different background of being like tier 1 CS and transitioning over, whereas Dicey was with you on Immortals and moved into the team?
Yeah, I did like what Wyatt did with me. I found Dicey in a ranked game, and I just was like, "This guy's good. Let me develop him." And I like started developing him, and then we played on like I told the Immortals like, "Yo, let's try him out. Let's get him on the team." They tried him out. They thought he was insane. I was like, "Yep, let's do it." And JC Stanley also came from Crunker as well with Dicey,
Yeah, yeah.
so it worked out. It worked out nicely where JC Stanley also had my back, and so like me and him just vouched hard for him, and we got him on the team. A month he plays on like I don't know what tournament he got, that 1v5 against Sentinels or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that blew up his popularity, and so then like people thought he was insane. And then 100 Thieves came, and the rest is history. I kind of forgot the question already. Sorry.
No, just
Uh,
just talking about like the closeness of the relationship. But I
yeah.
guess the other part that was interesting there is I think that didn't I read in an interview somewhere, like maybe when you were on Immortal Minds, that you played Roblox before or something? Like
Yeah, I played Roblox. I mean, I enjoy that game. What about it?
No, I remember that being like, was that some game that you played competitively or something? I don't know. I've never played Roblox before, but I remember there was
It's just
something in the interview about that.
no, it's just a game I played in my childhood, like for like lots of hours, and like that's how like I first got like yeah. I mean, I just played a lot of it, and like
Right.
there was like
Okay.
groups and stuff of friends.
I just
That
got
would
the wrong end of the
obviously.
stick there. I was reminded by Crunker of how amazed I was that these players were coming from Crunker.
Crunker,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
A web browser
a web
game.
browser game. Yeah, that was crazy to me. But I was wondering if there was some hidden link there with you just tapping into the Crunker community because you've been playing
Yeah,
some other strange games. I don't know.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
also, oh, sorry.
no, go on.
Also, uh, Steele knew me before from CS, so it wasn't like he didn't know me. Hiko knew me, but like he didn't know I was good. Like I played him in a match. It was called Flashpoint Qualifier in CS. He
Sure.
was on Z Pug Gods, and I was on like I think Asuna's Anime Aimers at the time, maybe Recon 5. I don't know. We were playing an open qualifier. It was an HLTV match. I beat him. That was my only match against Hiko. And then Steel, I scrimmed against him a lot, so I knew him from that. And then Nitro, I had no contact. He's like at the top of tier 1, like the
Yeah.
echelon. So like no communication with that guy because he's the very best. And
Yeah, he
then
lives in the clouds.
yeah. He's like what we all reached for, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then Ethan, I played him, even though he's like top tier 1, I did play him in a 5v5 FACEIT Cup like 4 times in a row right before Valorant came out, because it was like a cash cup, I guess you can call it, where like the prize was like a $50 skin, and he did it with like his girlfriend. I don't know. I played against like Ethan and I think Breeze at the time. That's the only time I ever played against Ethan. And funny enough, he remembered it. So like I brought it up, and it was like pretty good memory.
I wanna dial things all the way back. So
Mm.
and talk about the formation of the team going on to immediately win first strike. I know that this is something you talked about in prior interviews as well, but I want to get to the root of it too. What was it like going from a team like Immortals, where you're like third place, to instantly jumping into 100 Thieves and immediately winning first strike? Like, what was that journey like at the very beginning of the team?
Well, the journey, I remember when we tried out, we beat TSM, like we took a map off TSM. I think it was Bind. And I remember thinking, wait, we're actually like good at the, like, I don't know why, but when we were trying out, I didn't have like high hopes for Steel and Nitro. I thought they were going to
Right.
be, still learning the game. But we took a map off TSM, like, wow, all right, this team's actually not that bad. And then 2 weeks later, we're like doing really good in scrims. So I was like, okay, we're doing good. And on Immortals, we always did good in scrims. We were scrim gods because like we had no fear, no pressure, nothing. But then sometimes matches, we wouldn't do the same things we would do in scrims. I guess you could like, yeah. And
Yeah.
then I think it was just like the expectations, I guess, like going from third place to winning an event. It's like kind of like, I don't know, if third place is a lot further than like first place than people realize. It's only like 2 places, but like the massive difference between a first place team and a third place team is like pretty big. So I don't know. It felt like the work we put in paid off, but like it didn't. I don't know how to answer the question. Actually, I don't know.
So something that I
I'm
noticed
sorry.
from when you've been talking about this topic in prior interviews is that you brought up like the idea of that it didn't feel that it wasn't the same as if you'd been like together with the team for forever,
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't
yeah.
like a. I
That's
guess
how it
the
felt.
impression I got was that it doesn't feel like the culmination of a huge amount of hard work and grind and effort.
Yeah.
It was almost the impression I'm getting from your other interview answers is that it was almost a bit too easy. Like success came a bit too easily there, and it didn't feel
Yeah.
like you had to, I don't know, go through the anime protagonist arc of having a bunch of like downtimes
Yeah.
and struggle, and then you work back through the struggle. It was
Just
just
no struggle.
yeah, it was just no struggle. We just win immediately. Is
Yeah.
that a fair characterization of what it felt like internally?
I mean, we put in our work as in we just scrimmed, but it felt like when we like the improvements that we made were very easy and not like anything like play style or like secret. Like I feel like a good example of it is like Gen.G. They had a lot to like improve on, like overall, but we as like players just improved. Like Steel, Nitro just got better. They got better. Our entire team just got like 10 times better. And then like Hiko got better. I got better. Dicey got better. Like we all just got better, and it's just like easy. We didn't have to like go through any like fundamental changes um, until the transition from Dicey to Ethan that we felt like would elevate our gameplay.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
no, I'd say that was a decent characterization. Just to say, like, I mean, we are kind of like a super team in a way, but not
Sure.
really. I don't know. I feel like that's what
Yeah,
people said we were.
yeah, I mean, the expectations coming into this team were that, I mean, it might take a while, but yeah, some people weren't expecting you to win first strike straight out, but the ceiling would be enormous for the team because people always respected the way that it was put together and the talent that was on the roster as well.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts coming out of first strike? Like, I don't mean in terms of winning the event and feeling happy about the event or the success that you got, stuff like that, but looking towards the future, like, did that change anything for you to win that tournament and think about the team's ceiling or expectations?
Um, it just taught me like going into 2021, we have a lot to prove, I guess you could say. Like we can't like choke like we are right now, I guess you could say. Like because we went from winning first strike to losing in the open qualifiers and then getting fifth to sixth in Challengers 2, getting second in Challengers 3, and then fifth to sixth in Masters. So I mean, like I guess I put a higher expectations on myself as a player as well, um, going into 2021. But I mean, yeah, that's like the only thing that really changed. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, between obviously between first strike and now, the meta has changed
yeah,
considerably, and it was throughout that period, like in this past winter, you started running Dicey on Sage at a time,
yeah.
like in JBL, and it was sort of hard to tell if that was
hmm
you guys kind of joking because that was the EU sort of meta at the time.
Hiko
with
had just been on
Heretics winning.
stream
Yeah, 'cause-
talking about
right.
how EU was behind the meta because they were running Sage and Brim.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
I mean, to be fair, Brim has never been popular in North America
Yeah.
even since then. So I guess Hiko was was that the narrative has still continued there, but you instantly started adopting the Sage. So from an outside perspective, it was like, okay,
it was hard to tell if it was
on?
serious or not.
Especially because you were actually streaming the games,
and then you 13-0'd Envy with it.
Yeah.
So it was very it was just confusing what was going on there. So I guess within what was the decision behind that, like the actual team decision?
I don't really remember the conversation, but I think Josh is a big advocate for team synergy, or Steel's a big advocate for like in the agent synergy. Sorry, like Raze and Sage, that's a good synergy. Jett and Breach, stuff like that, like where like it's clear how those two agents can work together, and like Sova can work with anything, and he just wants to like make these like really combo plays and like throughout the map and like play like that. And that's like how we thought Sage could be really good, and that's how we wanted to play Sage. That's why I put Quan on Sage, just so like because me and Quan were always together. So like in theory, it was like, oh, Quan was slow. I'll nade. I'll get 3 kills with my nade. Let's go. Something like that. You know
right?
what I mean? But that was like the theory, and we tried it out. And that was like where Josh's vision was. And Spencer, I think at the time we weren't really talking about comps, and then after, I don't know, like really like what happened between the interview and like the JBL, but I do remember the interview. I think maybe we talked about comps, and then we thought maybe let's just try it out. Like maybe EU's onto something. Like I mean, they can't be like doing like they must have a reason why they're playing this comp and like why they were doing it. And our coach is also a big fan of like Lowell from Heretics. He loves his
Yeah.
walls and stuff, so he like went and like got all his like nerd walls and stuff, so we started using those as well. And yeah, like I mean,
Right.
not really much to say, but we had like two big fans of Sage, Josh and our coach, and they both like just made us want to play, and like yeah.
I guess one obvious question though is why make changes immediately after winning first strike? I can understand if you're using a JBL to experiment, but those changes actually did continue into 2021 as well. And I think Steel was on stream saying something like, the other teams have figured out our style or something like that. I think that was maybe during the JBL Cup. But was there a knowledge within the team, like from everybody, that changes needed to be made despite the fact that you looked like you were on top of the world at the end of 2020?
Personally, I think like what we thought was like our style is really readable with double duelist. I know that person like the opposite, like double duelist creates like a lot of freedom. You're able to do what you want, but where we thought our team was going was like we were going to be running this double duelist, and since me and Quan are everywhere, if you spot one of our players, you're able to figure out like basically our entire setup. Um, we could like we could have like changed how we played, but like the way we were playing was just so stagnant, and like to move like uh the pieces around would create like uncomfortable scenarios where the players wouldn't like the agent itself wouldn't be played to its fullest potential when put with like a certain other agent. Like that's how we viewed it, and it led to this change where we wanted to move to from double duels to single because we thought we didn't have enough utility to create multiple plays across the map. And like it's really hard to explain in like 5 minutes, but like let's just say we had like a pretty decent conversation about it, and like that's where we wanted to head.
Sure.
And that's how like it was created, and it was just to have this like big stall potential, lots more like just a lot more like pressure everywhere. Like if you're getting slowed, like what I mean, across the map, and like I don't know, that's like where we went. And obviously we didn't have to make a change, but we felt like if we didn't, we would like fall behind at the time. But clearly NA is still like on double duelist, so maybe we were like changing the meta too early. But
Yeah,
like,
I think
yeah,
it's an interesting point though, because I think that fans don't often make the distinction between a good idea that doesn't work and a bad idea. And
yeah,
I personally have never believed that that was a bad idea from 100
yeah,
Thieves to
yeah,
go for that style. I mean, I'm a big fan of Europe. I really like the way that those teams play. I think that
mhm,
the like goal to go in that direction, I think that fits 100 Thieves
yeah,
really well, like in terms of the thought process that people like Steel have about the game. It seems to fit that kind of style way more than it
yeah,
does the like int style of somebody like FaZe or the just pure
mhm,
vibing of Sentinels or whatever. Like your team seems to be set up for that more
yeah,
strategic system. It's just that I think that you
yeah.
quite got it going, but
I was gonna say, like after the game, we noticed a lot of like fundamental errors, and not really like comp errors. Like we weren't. I felt like in Masters when we went back and watched the VOD immediately after, we didn't really feel like we were losing because of our comp, and we didn't feel like, oh, if we had a Jett right here, it'd just make or break. You know what I mean? It felt like more our play styles weren't like we were too used to having like a Jett where making a lot of space and like leaving a lot of the entering onto me, and we had like way too many people supporting me and playing way too much to like way too passive. Like we would have 3 people like throwing utility for me and me just going in, and then like after watching back these VODs, we definitely made a lot of adjustments, which hopefully they showed to fruition.
Yeah.
If not, that'd be pretty unfortunate. Um, but we could also make comp changes. I mean, Astra's coming in. That could change like how we want to
Cool.
play with how these things are going. But yeah, I we'll see what direction we go. I still have to talk to with 4 other people or 5 other people about like where we go. Obviously, whatever I think, you know, that's not the be all and end all. I think that's how the saying
Yeah,
goes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So things could change from like what say about now and like 5 hours later during practice. Like
Sure, of course, of course.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
like I think that's like what we felt like was wrong with like what was wrong in Masters. It was like just fundamentals really, which is kind of ironic to say when we have like all this tier 1 experience. But yeah,
Well, I assume the game plays very differently as well. I think people talk about
yeah,
tier 1 experience a lot, but when you introduce the idea of just throwing that level of utility for your teammates, it
yeah. I meant
changes
like
everything
CS
up.
to Valorant, like our fundamentals, like trading and stuff like that, which is
Yeah.
generally like a CS thing rather
Yeah.
than like a Valorant thing. Valorant, you know what I mean? Obviously it has like trading, but like you know what I mean? Like the general core of like CS is just like trading, and all this other stuff. And like we had way too many like bad trades and like no one like supporting and stuff like that, like second man and third man in. So I think, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess in team discussion or in your opinion, is that attributed then to, or at least in part attributed to the comp that you were running and just lacking a second, not even necessarily a second duelist, but just a
Yeah.
second player who could really follow up on you effectively when you're double satcheling into a site?
Yeah. I mean, that's also on me. Like, I think we talked about me not double satcheling in as much. I think that's also pretty bad. Like, it's also on me as well. Like me going way too fast and like no one really being able to follow up because I'm used to like um generally speaking like a Jett with me, I guess what you could say. But usually, like the funny part is in like scrims, we never have these problems where like, oh, I'm going way too fast. It felt like, but yeah, but we noticed those problems during Masters. Um, yeah, so we like made after the loss we against Sentinels, we made a lot more like entry pathing and protocols, like stuff that could like really make this side of our game a lot better and like what we should do when pathing with like on Haven, we mainly did it because we lost the Sentinels 14-12 on Haven. We like reviewed that attack side a lot and like we made a lot more uh like protocols, I guess, like what people call them. But
Yeah.
yeah, we did like oh, this is like where we'll flash, and then like you'll go here, and then you'll wait for the next flash. You'll clear these corners, and then once this flash pops, you'll go here, and then the second person will go there, trade you. Like so, we did a lot more of those, so we could work on that side of the gameplay because it felt like that's where we were lacking. Our defense is usually good because we have double sentinel, but against Gen.G, we played pretty poorly on defense. So yeah, but a lot of this is just like not having enough like understanding of what our comp can do. Really, I guess. Um, that's how it like feels
Yeah.
like at least.
I wanted to roll back the clock a little bit and start a little earlier because I think one of the core themes that might keep cropping up as we adjust this solo duelist comp, or as we address it, sorry, is that you guys didn't actually have that much time to do a lot of the stuff in 2021. 2021, I think, has not been anywhere near as good to 100 Thieves as 2020 was, even though there's only been a small portion of each. Like you're only playing in both years for what 3 months or something like.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say that the trajectory has not been as envisioned in 2021. But if we wind the clock back, I mean, during Challenges 1, you guys didn't have Nitro at all and ended up losing to Carpe Noctem. During Challenges 2 and 3, you've had to make like these adjustments with the roster and with the composition and stuff. So I kind of, a lot of what we've been discussing on our show is talking about the outside factors when we're always discussing 100 Thieves, because it feels like things have not been set in stone for a long enough period of time for you guys to really get a good handle on what's going on. But can you walk us through, like, from the beginning, like with Challengers 1, the qualification process even to Masters, and how it felt internally with all of these moving parts?
It definitely felt weird, but I was also kind of like, so the player we got in for Nitro was Silence, my best friend. It was just kind of nice to play with him again. We didn't do so hot. Obviously, we lost to Carpe and Noctem, but Teddy was just insane that game. I guess he wanted it more than us. I guess so. That was pretty unfortunate. The leading up to that game, we were mainly still playing with Nitro, and Silence only got like 2-3 days of scrims, so we didn't like really feel fully prepared with him. And I'll be honest, didn't expect to like lose in open qualifiers. So we didn't like stress too much on like we wanted to prepare for like I guess you could say the challengers rather than the open qualifiers.
Sure.
So we were mainly playing on Nick, and we didn't really focus on John or Silence, sorry. And so we like ended up losing to Carpe Noctem, which is pretty unfortunate. And looking back, we definitely should have given more time to get accustomed with John and like actually have prep with him and like know what we're doing, because that was pretty disappointing, you could say. And then yeah, I mean, Nitro came back immediately. I don't know how he's doing it with a new baby and everything, but he's been like pretty on top of his game, even playing like
Yeah.
ranked late at night. Like I tune into his stream every now and then. Um, yeah. Is there anything else you want me to say?
Yeah, I think you wanted to ask some more questions about Carpe Noctem, didn't you?
I mean, it is well. You kind of have to.
Yeah.
It is just one of the It's one of the
irregularities,
mysteries of Valorant, because it wasn't streamed. Nobody really knows what happened. It's just this.
Do you want me to go like map my map?
I mean, listen, honestly,
if you have that level of remembrance,
if you can remember that fateful
I remember
day,
Haven
the haunting
vividly.
day.
Haven will be forever scorched into my brain. Let's just say the way we lost that map had to be some of the most unfortunate, like, and luckiest things I've ever seen. Teddy got like, so the way the game ended was Teddy getting an ace with a Guardian or something. I don't even remember, but like this guy was using a Guardian only. Like he was only using the Guardian and just destroyed us.
Wait, the
and
whole
then,
game?
Something like that. I felt like he had a Guardian every round and just one tapping me. Either way, he got like an ace at the end with like I don't know, just destroyed us. And then one of the rounds we get like a double entry on C site and we get double blind Sova ulted, no dart, nothing, and then we lose that round. That round felt so sad. And then bind. I forgot what happened that game, but Haven was just the most saddest thing ever because I felt like, oh yeah, we lost second round. Oh right, I remember this was the game where I thought, oh can I curse? No, right?
Yeah. Mate, go for it.
No, I won't. Just for the monetization. Our parent friend. Yeah, the second rounds. How many second rounds did we lose here? We lost this one, right? I'm blind. What about Haven?
Yeah,
we lost
one in the
here. Yeah,
second
look
half.
at this is what I hated about the game back then. Do you see this back and forth on like our CT side and their T side? It felt like we didn't have an economy, and then they won the 17th round, and then we didn't have an economy until 19th round. Like I was using a stinger for the first 6 rounds. That's what the meta was back then.
God,
and it was just like
the meta was so bad.
I was just using a stinger, and like 6 rounds in a row, and Teddy was just a better stinger player than me, I guess, that day. He just like running stingered me across the map. I was A link. This guy runs out B and just double taps me with the stinger across the map, and I had light armor. And I was like, wow, this is the kind of game I'm in for. And yeah, that was incredible.
I imagine that playing open qualifiers like this can be dangerous, though. If you run into the thing is, you have to be. I suppose it's more dangerous in other regions actually, where they only have BO1 series and stuff
I was
like
thinking
that.
about EU.
Yeah, but I mean, even in NA, there's like a chance that you can run into a team that's just on their A game that day. Like I know that talking about Silex, actually, his team. The only reason that I was aware of him at all, to be honest, in the Valorant
We
scene,
watched him pound Sentinels
he
that one
fucking
game.
pooed on Sentinels back when he was playing for Sakura Storm. On that one map.
That's why I was getting very upset at the community narrative when the Carpe Noctem game happened, because so many people were just, well, it has to be 100% Silence's fault. It's all on him. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way it was his fault I mean, of course there's no way it was his fault exclusively. But also, I don't know, you can't blame a sub who has to come in in such a serious way. And also, he, at least from what I had seen from him before, he was definitely a skilled player.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he literally, I think he won us our first 3 Haven rounds, and we 3 of us, I remember vividly having 0 kills, and I think Steel and Silence had, I think, I think John had like 9, and then Steel had like 6 or something. I don't even remember, but like they won. He literally carried us on Haven. Obviously, Bind, but on Haven he like was literally just getting us attacking rounds so hard. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was Silence's fault. I think a core 4 of us should still win regardless of our fifth. Like as long as the fifth is like a Radiant player, we should have won that game. I feel like. Um, that's just my takeaway. But I hope Silence hits, like, he already has some offers lined up. You'll see it. It'll be
Yeah.
coming up soon, hopefully. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask whether you thought that so this was about the exact same time that you guys started to transition into the solo duelist kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
You'd played some of it at JBL for sure, but this was like you'd taken a break. It was over the winter. You come back playing Challengers 1, no Nitro, but also changing the composition that you guys were playing and the style. Do you think that not just the general comp, but also the approach from 100 Thieves, where it's a bit more rigid and structured, like you were talking about before on Immortals, you just wide swinging stuff and kind of YOLO in a bit more. Do you think that the more rigid structure suffers more when you have like a sub or a change, or because you are normally relying on that structure, and if it's not there, there isn't like you don't just fill in the gaps as fluidly?
Hmm. I mean, we weren't really like too good at this like solo duelist comp. We didn't have too much on it, so like we were still running. I think on Bind we played Sage, and then Haven we played Jett on Quan. So I mean, we weren't fully into it. Like we were
Right.
still like experimenting, messing around. We were still figuring out like, is Sage even good on Haven? Should Quan still play Jett? So we weren't like 100%, and we were still like working out the kinks, I guess you could say, and
Sure.
making sure everything was good. And then yeah, I mean that's just like the nature of like a game like Valorant, where like if you put a sub in, they'll obviously do worse, and maybe they'll do worse in a structured environment. But that really depends, like how you view the game. Like if you put in depends on like I guess how core the component is. Like in a smoke a controller like Omen, he kind of like controls a lot of the game with like the smokes and everything, and like the flash and everything, setting up your teammate. But then like with the good examples like Sentinels, putting in a Jett player, no offense, but no offense, but it's like a little bit easier, I think, putting in a duelist player rather than like a controller or some other component like a breach, maybe even. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I can understand why that would be the case.
yeah,
The loss to Carpe Noctem though did spawn one of my funniest quotes that I've seen recently. You did an interview, I think, with an SG, or it might have been with Riot themselves actually, and you were talking
right.
about the fan response, and you were talking about like how it was dealing with 100 Thieves, and you said talking about the fans, you said calling us out for underperforming is fair. And you said, my mom even said after we lost, okay, well, you're going to college. And I thought that was just a
Yeah,
hilarious quip, which I assume is a quip, right? It's not like it's not like your mom's monitoring the tier 3 results every night, reading over them, and he's like, holy shit. Peter just lost to Carpe Noctem. He's going back to school. Jim, he's going to school. He's going to school.
it was just a funny joke my mom said, really. I mean, at the time, I think I was pretty much gonna like after we went first strike, I was not gonna apply to colleges, I think, but I was still thinking about it, really. I didn't know like where I was gonna go, I guess, because I'm still doing high school. I still need to finish that. Obviously, I'm not gonna drop out. I only have 3 more months. Um, but yeah, my mom was just messing around with me, uh, and just like having a good laugh, I guess.
Yeah. Do you find that there's like the time spent or traveling around to boot camps and stuff like that is a hard task to juggle? You seem like you're the kind of person that is just pretty practical. You're just like, oh, gotta do it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it's just kind of weird whenever like so it's like I have to show up to school, do the work, and then right after I've pro or scrims and like practice, and then like I have like 3 hours for myself, so I have a lot less time, and I can't do things I enjoy, such as watching anime. Um, but I don't have time for stuff like that. But I mean, as long as you only have these 2 things in your life, it's pretty straightforward. Like I'm just at my home all day. I wake up at 10, go to school, Then practice starts at like 4:30. So I have my school only lasts 4 hours for some reason because I took like pretty like I'm pretty ahead in school, I guess you could say, where I don't need a math class, I don't need a science class. Like I'm not taking science this year, um, and I don't need like a lot of these classes actually. I just need English and history and physical education to graduate. So since I was so ahead, I made it really my senior year really easy for me,
Right,
and
right.
so I ended up just not having as many classes. Um,
I
I am
don't.
still taking like AP classes, but oh yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I don't understand how one does online physical education classes from the comfort
Yeah,
of their own home. What the fuck is that?
mine is just so you have to click a button to say you're present, and then you have to fill out a Google form about an article about like weightlifting and stuff. Like, so we had a unit on like all the machines. Like we had to learn like
Right.
what each machine does, what it works out, what muscle you have to use, how to use it properly. So like the questions would be like, I don't know, whatever machine, like what part does it work out primarily, and then you would say, I don't know, the biceps. I obviously like yeah, it's pretty easy to cheat on it, but like you still have to like Google search it, I guess you could say, and like and then you could just
So,
yeah.
is it fair to say you're big into weightlifting?
No, it's just a unit, and but as you can see, I am packing a lot of heat.
Yeah, yeah, I could tell. I could tell.
Yeah. Uh,
Like me.
besides,
I mean, actually, comparing you to me is fucking offensive to you. I have,
no,
I have a dad bod if I've
It's
ever
that
seen one.
Pringles body.
It really is lovely Pringles body going on right here. Yeah, I need that class actually. If you could pass along your findings.
but yeah, it's funny whenever so like my calculus teacher, I went to boot camp right earlier for masters. It's funny whenever the teachers like email me or email my mom like your son has missed a couple of days of school and hasn't done assignments, and then like I'm on a plane right now flying to New York City, like I can't even like show up to the class if I would love to, but I do try to show up, and none of my teachers like generally know that I do this except like one class. So my teachers don't ask for video cams, except one class did for a little bit in first strike, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever when I was in the AT&T Valorant training room, and I have my video cam on, and you just see like six people in the background like playing video games and like walking around, and I'm just in my English class. Like I don't even know what he was thinking. He even asked me like, "Yo, why are you not in your living or like bedroom?" Because I was like showing this room off, right? And then like next week I come in, I'm in like just like compound or something, and he's like, it doesn't even ask. So I thought that was hilarious, but I don't know.
Is that
But
not something you like communicate to your school about and like juggle that in
no,
terms of like synergizing it with them? I don't even know whether that's something that you could do, but
I mean, I'm too. I guess I have anxiety to ask them, but like, there's no point. I mean, I still show up to school and stuff. Like, it's
right, right.
online. It's just like the funniest thing is like whenever. So we had a half day in school, like Friday 2 weeks ago, and I was in LA, and the teacher said be there at 9:35, and I didn't realize he meant East Coast, so I showed up at 9:35 Pacific, and like it was so bad. I just missed this class just straight up. I was like, oh my god. I thought that was hilarious at the time, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just assuming that all of his students that are around the high school would still be on the East Coast time zone. Very reasonable assumption, I think, from that.
Pretty
teacher.
reasonable. I don't know why he didn't write East. So ignorant. Oh my.
Do you
But yeah.
do you find that there's I think that when I think about your situation, both on the team and how you're balancing high school and stuff like that, the word that comes to mind very naturally, I think, is a pressure. I feel like you're under a lot of pressure to be successful in order to actually like sustain a career. Especially, I know that when I was your age, actually, what the fuck am I talking about? I was way older than you. I don't know why I'm saying it was your age. Lord knows what I was doing at your age. But when I was older and trying to get into esports professionally, I don't know whether the audience actually for this even understands this aspect of it. Because I think when you look at pro players or you look at people who are professional within esports, you assume that they're like salary, 401k, they're all fucking good, like they're just set up for the rest of their lives. Like when I got into esports, I mean, I was just conning my parents that I had any idea of what I was doing with my future. And then every year after that, even after I got a job for the Overwatch League and moved to the US, we lived on air mattresses for the first 5 months because we were convinced we were going to get fired and we would just have to go and pack shelves in Tesco's again in the UK. And I feel like that felt like a weight on my shoulders for the first few years of being a professional, because the career prospects in the future are just, I mean, you don't know what, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do in the future, because I'm probably not going to be a caster for fucking ever. Like
that's in your 60s.
Yeah, just walking around with a cane like, oh, these Zoomers are pretty good.
And playing Fortnite 20.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think that is like its own form of pressure to like think about your career moving forwards. And especially when you're a pro, it's not exactly the same as having some like analyst role or caster role or something. You're actively competing for your success. Like if you're a bit of a shit caster, mate, you can coast. There's some shit casters out there. But if you're a shit player, you very quickly go down the...
You can coast for a bit.
You can coast for a little bit.
I've seen it.
There definitely are. You can collect paychecks for a while,
bit, yeah.
but you can't sustain it long term. You will eventually get kind of cycled out.
Yeah.
So when I think about you and that situation you're in there, and also your situation like with all of the burden of being like this solo entry player for 100 Thieves and stuff, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on you as an individual.
I just don't think about it. Like I don't think about the future. I just think about the present. Yeah, I mean that's like the straightest forward. I like you say career paths, but I'm just thinking like 2 years down the line at most, and I see myself still playing this game. So I don't really like want to worry about 10 years later when I'm 36, like or wait 27. What will I be doing? So
doing all right in math. You need a tutor. Sounds like you might need some help graduating.
Yeah, I've been doing too many calculus class derivatives. I don't even know what the like tangent lines at this point. I don't know anymore.
So when you do graduate, what's the plan then? Like, are you just gonna just focus on Valorant 24/7, or are you just gonna use that spare time to just enjoy your life and do other things as well?
Yeah, I might. I mean, probably both, right? That seems like the most realistic answer. I'll probably like right now. I've been doing like 13-hour streams because we don't have practice, and I just generally play the game for 14 hours straight. But like I'll probably just like stream in the mornings, and then stream at night, and then have practice. As long as COVID's still a thing. I mean, I wasn't really going outside when without COVID, so not like much has really changed with COVID. It's just I don't have to go to school, and that commute in New York City is pretty it's an hour long. It's not good. But
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep, it is ridiculous.
New York is crazy. It's a wild place. Like London on meth.
Yeah. I visited London. It was great.
Yeah, London's a great city. I mean, I love New York as well, but I wouldn't want to live there, I don't think.
I wouldn't want to live here either, but we'll see. But I mean, I'm not gonna plan on moving out anytime soon. I feel like that's pretty dumb. Like, I'm gonna live with my parents until like for like a while, probably like 4 years, probably. There's like I don't really see a point. My mom doesn't even want me to move out, so they don't have any of that pressure. High school just feels like as long as I show up and do some of the work, not even all of it, just pass, I'll be fine. Because I'm not really like trying to go to college with good grades, even though I had good grades all the way up till college. Like my mom was like pressing me on SAT stuffs and like all like AP classes and like yeah. So like I still ended up taking AP classes on my senior year, even though I was on Immortals, my mom still wanted me to take, all these classes. And like, even though I finished math, she still wanted me to take calculus. Like, I don't know. But so, I'm just in like that situation, I guess.
Is that like,
But now,
is that like just looking out for you? Or is that like...
I mean, what's calculus really going to do at this point? Like,
Mate, I don't know.
I mean,
some lineups, maybe.
yeah, I mean, like AP macroeconomics is really gonna help me make it big, I guess. But I mean, I guess learning about stocks and stuff is fun. But and like,
yeah, mate, you can go to the moon, Asuna to the
Yeah.
moon.
yeah, or was it Quan coins to the moon? That's his like thing.
I wanted to ask you about your general like philosophy in terms of how you approach the game as well, because I think that when Riot did that piece with you, that I can't even remember what it was called, but like the VCT pieces that they did for Shaz and Mummy and you
They had
as
a
well.
better one. I had like a smaller one. Don't compare me to those like masterpieces. Like,
Okay.
did you see Mummies? Mummies was insane. I watched that.
Mummies was crazy.
It
They
was.
put the budget behind Mummies.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really did. I mean, yeah, they
His
gassed
was like
him
9
up.
minutes long. And mine was like 2 minutes. Like he had like his own thing. I think they traveled to his place, and they did it during like Challengers 3. Mine was right before Masters. All right, sorry.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, you asked where macroeconomics could take you. You could be the next Mummy on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And then you'll have
Yep.
big pictures made about you. But one of the things that you mentioned in the video was you said something like you don't want to act or think that you're the best. Like you wanted to keep your ego in check or something, but you always want to play as if you're the best. Could you kind of, I'm sure I've butchered like that whole thing. Could you rephrase it yourself? And then I wanted to dig into it a little bit.
You said it like exactly how I said it. I mean, I come up with these quotes on the spot. I don't know, like, I mean, I had a pretty bad CS pass, like where I was really toxic and like I had a big ego going into CS because like I was a 14-year-old kid, just enjoying myself. Um, and like I just like played a lot, and people thought I had an ego, and I didn't really like that. So I decided to make it my job in Valorant to not have an ego and try to be a little bit more nicer to people and like just be a good person overall and not like be mean to my teammates. So I decided to like take that in, and I guess that was like the first time I openly like said something like that in like
Right.
a weird and like yeah. I don't really like all these quotes. I just think about them on the spot. I think that was a pretty good quote looking back.
Yeah.
I was pretty proud of it actually in the moment. But yeah. So that was just it because like I don't like that. Like I was thinking like Sinatra, like how he was like really toxic when he was going up. In like Overwatch, right? Like he was really toxic. So like I didn't want like that kind of like past. So I
Right.
just wanted to. I would be like a good person. I want that
Right.
kind of narrative. That's all.
Sure. The
That's
the the way that you're kind of phrasing it as well is like you have looked at how other people have acted within the scene, and you've looked at kind of your own past as well and decided that there's like how you want to act and how you
yeah.
want to get success. But I think that whenever what I've tended to notice just from interacting with peers and other people in esports as well is that the younger people are when they develop a philosophy, the more it's to do with or the when you crystallize some kind of thought like that, it's normally to do with like one distinct thing that you've really noticed within the scene or something, rather than just your collection of experiences. Is there anything that kind of pushed you in that direction? I mean, obviously you were saying your history.
Playing rank.
Right.
I guess like if you play that for 14 hours straight, you're bound to meet some interesting individuals. Um, but yeah, I mean that's it.
Yeah. Do you think that this is gonna like the point that I want to get to here is that Valorant is growing at a rapid rate. I mean, it's like exploding in North America. It's not really everywhere else, but it is in North America.
Yeah.
And
A funny story. Oh, sorry. Funny story
go
is
on.
like I get Snapchats like after my LG game and after I won the first strike, people like at my school messaged me. I didn't even know like they were into Valorant, but like they just messaged me like, "Yo, congrats on the game. You played insane. What the fuck?" I'm like, "Yeah, thank you." I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I didn't really expect people to like because in CS, like if I blew up in CS, I don't think like there were people that knew me that I played CS MDL, but there was like 5 people like that I didn't tell. And then like when I played Valorant, I feel like everyone basically knew at that point. And they even like stopped by and checked on my Twitch and stuff. It's kind of cool. All right, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's
that
cool.
is pretty sweet.
But yeah, it is remarkable how it's remarkable that this game is going in such a mainstream direction. And it makes sense when you look at it because it has all the appealing qualities for viewers as CS did that made it entertaining to watch in regards to just the way the rounds play out, the actual scoring system.
The tension.
Yeah, the tension of each round and the overall tension of the round score, the ability to clutch and all of that just makes it such a good viewing experience, but then also the game's actual look and the diversity of the agents.
Yeah.
Like there's just a million more things within the game that make it more appealing to a wider audience.
Yeah.
So it does make sense in that way that it is growing at such a crazy rate. But yeah, I mean, because that game you mentioned as well, the one against LG where you were pounding, that like after that game, you're trending on Twitter and like I've never really seen that before. This is like a new thing, and obviously
I can't think of when that would have happened in Overwatch.
And I know if Bren was here, he would be telling us
about the TikToks.
No, well, he would be telling us about the TikToks, but also remember the algorithm skews towards the things you're interested in,
true. Yeah.
Which is true. But still, to even be within the realm where there's whatever, like 10,000 people tweeting about you because you played well in a game, it's pretty nuts. Like I've never really
for a
seen
game of that. Like that game wasn't really like that important. Like I know Hiko was trending when he won First Strike, but like that game was just like a Challengers 3 lower bracket final. So I didn't expect it to like, you know what I mean? Like if they're watching games like that, they definitely tune in for the finals. So that's what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, I've just never really seen that.
Yeah.
And with the consistency that seems to be happening now, it's a bit different. But I guess how do you then? What's your handle on that? Like seeing yourself trending as a topic, dealing with the fame, I guess, and the fame.
It hurts.
But handling all that alongside obviously just your responsibilities as a player, finishing school. How does that factor in? Like, do you have, I guess, are there people around you in 100 Thieves that are, there to offer their advice, given that they've kind of been in the situation already?
I mean, I don't know. There's not really much to think about. I'm just like living life, kind of, and like just taking one step at a time. I don't really like looking at like I said earlier, looking at like the future too hard and like thinking about like the pressure and like stuff like that. I don't really feel that much pressure because it feels like I'm just playing my game, and I feel like I don't know. I just don't really like I don't think about like the consequences of like whenever I play the game, like whenever I make like really bad plays or really good plays. Like I remember me like Masters, like just on Icebox, I'm on top of B bind site, and I just start going in for the rocket after a Killjoy lockdown. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yes, I do actually. Yeah.
Okay. Like I don't think about the consequences of a bad play like that. I just think about what could happen, and I think of the good stuff. And I mean, I'm just like, I don't think I'm too young to think about like the bigger picture, I guess you could say, about like life and like because I just decided to do this when August 2017. I just said when I was going to ninth grade, said, all right, let me try going pro. I don't have anything to do in life at the moment, and I wasn't really interested in clubs like sports or anything. And like even though I tried every sport, it wasn't my thing. I didn't like doing it. So then I decided let me try going pro, and I did that for CS, and then Valorant came out, and I was like, yeah, might as well. This is gonna be way easier because there's no gate cap community, and like I can easily just break in if I'm good enough, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I think that's your current attitude is definitely like one that people have when they first start out. Sometimes some people have like a massive ego right from the beginning, but I think holding on to that attitude is extremely like a massively good idea, because a lot of people, the more they go through it, end up getting like, it's in a serious sense, they get addicted to the attention, and I mean that seriously. Like it's actually can be an addiction. Like you just get you love the attention.
Like looking at numbers. I like looking at like impressions like on Twitter. I love seeing that number be bigger, my follower account be bigger. I do enjoy like stuff like that, but I feel like that's just like human.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
completely human, and I think some people though end up getting like sucked into that world and then that becomes the world instead of the winning aspect of it, and like just being in the moment and playing as well. So I think that's I think that's something that a lot of people will have to deal with as Valorant gets bigger, because a lot of the people that are primed to be stars are people in similar situations to you, where they haven't had it happen to them on that scale before. Like they might have seen some glimpses of success in other titles, or even won like some smaller tournaments, but the majority of people that are primed for success in Valorant have not really had like the full attention and focus of a community that size upon them. And that's going to be interesting to see how people deal with that kind of stuff and adapt as they grow older.
I'll try not to disappoint that entire community.
No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
But I mean, the current attitude you have, I think, is a very good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And
Why do I care about them?
Exactly. Fuck them all.
Yeah, that's a good attitude, Josh. Good message for the kids.
I wanted to talk a bit about the entrying aspect then for 100 Thieves. Let's collect back to like challenges 2, challenges 3 kind of time as you're making this run through, and you guys are adding. You remove Dicey, adding Ethan. You're finalizing the kind of structure that you guys want to play, and yet all throughout it's been you entrying. And I know that we touched on this a little earlier where you were talking about the duelist, the solo duelist comps, where you're talking about like adjusting protocols and double blast packing in and that kind of stuff. But there's been a lot of different looks for 100 Thieves. There's been you playing alongside a Jett, Raze alongside a Jett, I mean. You playing Phoenix for them as well in certain compositions, which does change the dynamic of what you're able to do and the pace that you can play at. But you've also played like with a Breach when you guys play on Haven, and you've been playing with the like Sage compositions on a lot of the other maps too. How does that differ? Like what has been your thought process when you get into a game, depending on the comp you have behind you, depending on like what time it was for 100 Thieves, in terms of what goes through your head and like what helps you entry for this team?
I think the biggest difference between like the comps you just labeled is like the one with the Breach. It just feels so much more harder to like play off of the like. I'll be honest, sometimes he flashes and like I'm used to CS where like each flash you throw it, it's the same amount of time for it to pop. But in this game, if you throw it, it takes time for that flash to travel, and like if you're closer to the wall, it pops earlier than if you're like if he's throwing it from way back, it has to travel to the wall and then pop. And I'm not used to that for some reason. Where like sometimes I swing and it like blinds me way too early. It blinds me as I'm swinging. So that's why I noticed when I was getting into it. But then like when I'm entering, like I also have to with Breach, I have to wait for like the util, which is kind of weird because I'm usually like when Steel says, "All right, let's exec," I'm going in. Like I'm not like I really don't really think much about it, and we're just taking the site at that point. So I mean, I just have to like now like I said with the protocols earlier, like once he flashes the first time, I should wait for like stop and like clear all the angles, then wait for the second one, and then like be a little bit more methodical about like how I approach my entering rather than just like clearing stuff and like praying. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then also like I don't think people realize like how hard it is to in this game, especially to just like run in and then like let's say you forget to break a trip and you just hit a trip and you die to a guy A heaven on Haven, like stuff like that, and then like recon darts, all this like use turret, killjoy mollies, all this other stuff that's like so much harder. And then in CS it feels like because in CS like you like you have a lot of flashes, like a lot to entry. Like you could literally like chain flash an entire bomb site and you are entering like pretty relatively easier than I think in this game because in this game it's a lot more dry like to entry unless you have a comp that's like built for it or you're playing an agent that's like really good for it. Like because I was thinking like if I played Jett, so I've been interested or intrigued by Jett a little bit because I've never played Jett in a pro match, so I have no idea how it's like. But like imagine if I dashed in and hid in a smoke and then waited for my teammate's utility. That sounds like a way better than just double satcheling in and then just like dying as I'm in the air. But that's what I was thinking. But that's how it feels when entering.
Yeah, I mean, you have to adjust your crosshairs so much in this game as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just with everything you were talking about, like you have to break a trip and a recon and 2 mollies.
All by myself. Generally.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And also,
a lot to do.
If you do get hit by a recon or a trip, when you're playing at this level, that's just an insta death a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
people
especially
are set up
Odin
to be able to
meta.
punish them.
Like I literally have PTSD going into B main, and I just see they don't do anything, and I walk in a little bit, and then they dart, and then it scans me, and I get Odin, and I'm like, wow, I got to play the game. That's how I think. Like I didn't even like see anyone. I just didn't break the dart fast enough, and I just get ticked, and Odin spammed the B main ascent. It's just like so sad and demoralizing. And I'm just trying to work the map, and I'm like tasked to do B main, and it's like really annoying.
I know that you've talked a lot about like what you feel like the team needs when you're talking about you being synced up with the team and waiting for the utility to come through and all of that kind of stuff. If you had it your way, like your favorite way of playing, what would you want to play? Like, would you actually want to play the Jett and like do all of the crazy shit that Jett players do?
Yeah,
would you want to play just
phased.
Phoenix and flash for yourself all the time?
Phase. I want to Smeeg, but Obviously, that is not. Um, I know that's not the right way to play, and I know that like it was okay. Not right way to. That's not consistent. I'd say.
Right.
Compared to like us playing with like utility and stuff, it's like a lot more reliable, and like utility can't fail you. Like that will always be like a surefire. Like the best comparison I can say is like if a guy's blind, no matter how good his aim is, most likely he won't kill you. Most likely, God forbid, a guy full blind kills you. But that's like how I view it. And I agree with that should be the right way to play. But I mean, I enjoy playing more like Smeagol, just running around. But I do want to keep my job, so
Yeah, I think that's pretty
No,
fair.
no drastic changes to the 100 Thieves style.
Well, do you think that there's been a lot of conversation about Jett recently, and a lot of the teams that would run breach compositions? I mean, you can see it here actually from T1 because our producer's a god and he's come up with the goods immediately. But they're running the Jett, and Jett does combo extremely well with breach. We've seen a lot of very good teams try and run Jett on this map, sure. On other maps, I mean, especially I'm thinking Ascent, for example. Jett and breach really common in other regions and have been for a while. But it's not something that you've ever particularly done. And do you think now with the like removal of Dicey, it feels like you have the responsibility to pick up some of these other agents that are no longer being played? I know that people like Nitro Ethan potentially could transition into that role as well, but they haven't done yet. And the most natural would be for you to try and take that up. What do you feel about that whole the idea in the scene at the moment with FaZe's success and with Tens playing a lot of it as well, that like a Jett is required?
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the word required was a little too strong, but I mean, it is definitely like an interesting agent, I'll say. Like, I did learn how to play Jett. Most people thought I knew how to play Jett. I did not know how to play Jett the entire time because I've always had uh, a one trick Jett or a Daddy Jett that there was like probably no
Right.
way. Like, if I was to play Jett, what's the point of like Dice even? So there was no point in me ever to play Jett, and I never played it. Literally, have never touched it until recently after Ethan's yeah, after Ethan joined our team. So I started learning how to play Jett. I had a lot of fun, but I don't know. I'm not really too keen on it. I still like Raze more. I'm buying than like Split. I do enjoy Reyna mostly still, but Jett is like something I feel like if something happens and Josh has like a vision of how like he thinks Jett would be good on this map. Like personally, I think Jett is really good with Breach. So I was thinking like playing Jett on like Haven at least, but besides that, I was kind of just content on like the race that we were running, or even like Phoenix with the Breach, something like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Do you watch other entries to like get a feel for how they play? Like maybe some people over in Europe or in Korea where they tend to play more of these like less double duelist kind of compositions, more of just the rays. Like I'm thinking the comparison I tend to make with 100 Thieves is Guild from Europe. I don't know whether you've seen many of their games because you guys run almost identical team comps on most maps. And they've been playing it for a long time, and Yassine, who does your role, who plays majority Rays for them, in fact, all Rays for them, I think. His entrying is like it's somewhat similar. He's able to schmeeg sometimes, but he's also had to tighten up his play a lot. Like at First Strike, he was a player that was very much just taking a lot of risks and trying to, create those openings for his team. And now it's incredibly utility reliant. And when I think about 100 Thieves, like I often tend to make the comparisons to the European teams because they've been playing with that comp for a much longer period of time and like figured out a lot of the quirks of how it works. Do you ever take inspiration from other people around the scene?
The only one I've really looked at like full like I watched a good amount of VODs was JD from NIP when I had
Okay.
to learn Icebox, Sage. That was the only time because I didn't know where to start and like I thought let me go check out because NIP was doing good at the time and JD was like the best Sage at the time statistically, but I still think he's the best Sage
Sure.
uh in Europe, and I thought he was really good. So I watched a lot of his Icebox. That's like the only one I really like looked in depth and like I because when I forgot why I was running Sage. Oh yeah, because we wanted I think Dicey on Jett, and then I had to go to Sage in order to have a Sage because we thought Sage was like 100% on Icebox, which it is 100% on Icebox. It feels like.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, unless you play like Envy does. Um, Either way, so I learned that's the only player I really like watched in depth and like thought, wow, this guy's actually pretty damn good at the game. But besides that, I like watch most of the games like for fun and entertainment. Like I watch the Masters of Europe for fun, like because I just like want to watch
Sure.
CNN play, and then
Yeah.
I'm so bad with that name, like I can't pronounce that name, CNN, right?
Yeah, I think it's just CNED. I mean,
Okay,
I don't know. I'm not Turkish,
and
so
then
maybe there's a
I
different pronunciation, but I think it's CNED.
okay, and then Kyle's he has a Ukrainian flag, so I wanted to root for him, and then yeah, that's like
Mm.
the only thing I watched, and then the Brazilian games I watched Furia versus Gamelanders. Like I heard that was a good series, so I
Oh
watched that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And then I saw they got 3-0'd by Vikings. I was gonna watch that, but never got to it. Korea Nitro has that. He loves Korea. He just
Right,
watched
right.
that all the time. But I feel like you said, I think the only unless Guild runs like the exact same comp, I might watch that. But I feel like we have to learn it ourselves because like the play styles and comps are so different and drastic between like teams that like it feels as if entering and learning it from someone else is really hard unless you have the same exact players. Because it feels almost as if like if you have so like if you have a lot more passive players on your team and you're entering, it's gonna be a lot harder than like if you have like an aggressive omen or something. You know what I mean? Like I
Sure.
feel like
Mhm.
the path thing I have to take is gonna have to be a lot more different than um like you Yasin maybe depending on like the players and like what we're really trying to accomplish in the round and like what map control we want when entering. Like well specifically what I'm thinking is like ascent a site. Like sometimes you want to entry through garden um just because like you want to take garden
Yeah.
and you want to wrap through heaven and like stuff like that. So like yeah, I probably if I struggle with entering, I'll look at it, but I really don't think my entering's that big of a problem. It is hard, but it's like kind of just a lot, and I'm like just trying to do the most I can out of the situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think one of the narratives about you as an entry, or at least most recently with this new iteration with Ethan, with the new iteration of the team, is that there's more pressure on you now than there was before in the Dicey iteration when he would be in the site supporting you. That there was just even more for you to be done as an individual. Do you think that there's some truth to that narrative? Do you feel that at all when you're actually in the game?
It doesn't feel like that in the game, but I bet looking out from the outside in, it definitely feels like that. But I mean, well, I was gonna say something good. I forgot. Well, I mean, looking from the outside, I bet people think that, but I think like, so, oh yeah, I was gonna say since I'm a top 3 player, I feel like I can easily do that. It's not like something outside of the realm. You know what I mean? Like I definitely could accomplish that. It's not like, well, he can't do it. It's like too much for him. So I definitely think I could step up to the plate. But we're working on like making it easier. So it's not like it will be like that forever. I think we're gonna try to make mainly like everyone on attack a lot more aggressive and learn how to uh do our abilities like not everyone needs to be throwing abilities basically. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
Like everyone some people might like even though it might be nice to do something like set lineup or something, you can do it like wing it or like stuff like that. Like just so you're closer in spacing. Um
Sure.
yeah. I can't really go into depth, but yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we're better.
Yeah,
You know what I
can't
mean?
reveal
That's all I can say.
the secrets.
Yeah, of course.
Did you
Yeah.
fight at all for trying to still play Reyna on Icebox? That was one of the only things I was surprised about was that you weren't playing Reyna on that map anymore.
No, I mean I don't really. I'm vibing. I just play whatever they want. I mean I don't really care much what I play as long as it's a duelist or Sage because I played Sage a lot in beta. Um, and then they try to make me. The only thing I've ever said no completely to is Breach. You guys
Oh
never,
god, I
God
mean,
forbid, you guys never saw my Breach. But let's just say it was a sight to behold back in November.
why?
Let's just put it that way.
What was the idea behind you playing Breach?
The flash and
I
dash,
was
I
just,
assume, was it?
You were just going to be
let's just
setting
say
up Dicey
I was just crazy on Breach. Let's put it that way. You know, like, what do you think about shot up on
everywhere.
Breach?
I mean,
He loves going
Hey,
first on breach, doesn't he? He
hey,
loves going first.
hey, just imagine that, but me. Yeah, and then I played Omen before Nick. I think we were running single duelist at the time. Wait, actually I don't remember our comp, but I was playing Omen for a little bit as well. I think
hmm,
that was interesting.
yeah.
Right.
But
You had said earlier that you thought Nitro was the best Omen in NA.
yeah.
And any desire to have him back on the Omen? rather than the
can't
group
leak.
stage.
But I can't leak. But we might be seeing Nick back on Omen.
Hmm.
But I have no idea. Astra's coming in, so I don't really. I'll be honest. We took a little break recently because of Steel. He had let's just say he had like a vacation, and like his significant other, they already had something planned
Right.
for like these 4 days. Um, and like so we haven't really talked much about comps, but I think we might move Nick back to Omen. I don't really know. Like I'll find out in the next 5 hours. Like I
Sure,
said.
sure. But
Gotcha.
it's your team has a lot of flexibility as well because
Yeah, true.
Ethan, now that he's got to grips with the game a little bit as well, I mean he played an entry. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he played an entry role within CS, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
No idea.
it feels like he would be potentially poised to do something in that
Yeah.
vein too if you guys wanted to move back to double duelist kind of comms.
Yeah, funny enough, I asked when Ethan joined because like I said, I didn't know anything about him at all. Yeah, and so I asked like, where would you put him on like a spectrum, like the least aggressive, most aggressive? Like, so I said like Asuna or Hiko, like where would he be? They said like Nitro, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that meant at the time, but we'll see. We're learning.
Yeah, what does that mean? I don't know where
I
that
don't
is on the
know. I don't know
spectrum.
what that means. I think it just means
In the middle?
slightly. Yeah, I guess middle. I don't know, but
Okay.
we'll find out. I thought that was funny at the time.
That is funny, but now that leads me. I think it must be asked because now someone is going to. They're gonna take that section and they're gonna say, "Holy shit, Asuna thinks Hiko is the most passive player
in the world."
So-
You get the point of like the comparison. There's no way. I hope people don't take it out of context, but
No. I'm joking,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I know you are. Sorry.
But is there I don't know. I don't even know what my question is. I guess something to I'm going to
Yeah.
speak and maybe we'll find a question within it. Because I guess essentially what I'm getting at is community narratives.
Sure.
And at this point, I think there's a lot of community discussion as to how effective Hiko has been
Yeah.
Well,
on the team.
There's been a lot of community narratives about 100 Thieves. I mean, early on there was like Dicey's underperforming, and then now the community narrative has actually flipped the other way, and people talking about like
do
Dicey
not
was
listen to
never set up to
community
succeed.
Yeah, Dicey was never the problem.
Yeah.
It was actually always
The
Hiko and
narrative
Steel.
I find is like the Reddit is, or I read Reddit just because why not see what people say there, and no one hates me right now. Until they hate me, I'll stop reading it. But either way, right now, whenever I see Reddit, it just feels like flip flop every single day. Like I remember Shinobi, he got cut, and then instantly, oh, Shinobi's not the problem. Then now it's like Hiko, God Hiko, first strike, king of the world, and now oh Hiko's back. Like I mean, I don't really get this like at all. Like and then Dicey, what you guys just said, I thought was pretty bad. But either way, Hiko's playing Sova. Sova should be alive last, like generally speaking. But there are times where he needs to be more aggressive, and like it's pretty clear. And then also like same with me, I need to be slower. So like it's like we need to learn how to just play a lot. Like we don't have to play to our agent's comfort, which we're trying to like. You saw like a clear example of us doing this is like Steel opping on Killjoy. Now let's be real, that's not the best, and like but that's
Yeah.
what we're seeing. Like we're just like trying things out, like trying to like see if like we shouldn't be limited to our agents on like only a duelist can entry and only a sentinel can anchor. You know what I mean? Like stuff like this.
Right.
And like it'll definitely make your gameplay a lot more diverse. And we're trying to work on that. So and one of them is like Spencer, don't be last alive every time. Like stuff like that. Like or like you can enter, you can just like wing a dart or shoot it and then go in. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So but obviously it's a lot harder to entry when you're droning and stuff like
Yeah,
so
of course.
and obviously the shock darts are good, the soul vault's really good. So like there's no complaints from like the players, but yeah. I think that narrative is really like just people hating on Spencer because he gets a lot of hate because he's like really popular. Feels like a lot of the popular players get a lot of hate for literally no reason, and whenever like something poor happens with them, which I find really ridiculous. Um, but I don't even think Spencer reads Reddit, so I don't even think he knows if anything. But yeah,
It yeah, the team is interesting. Or like the community narratives around the team are interesting too. I mean, the narrative around you at the moment, I feel, is that Asuna needs to kill everything, otherwise 100
Yeah.
Thieves loses. Is
Yeah.
like the. I wonder what
That's silly.
we've tapped a little bit into like what it feels like from the inside, but when when you have a game like the one that comes to mind is when you're playing against FaZe, and the FaZe guys coming into it. When we did an interview with Baby, they were like we're just going for Asuna. We're just trying to kill Asuna at the beginning of the rounds, and it does feel like from the outside that there is some lack of the spear tip once you go down, and. I mean, that's an outside perspective that is somewhat similar to the community narrative. It's not as like black and white as like Asuna has to kill everybody, but it does feel like that aggressive component gets neutralized a little bit if you get taken out early on. Is that what it feels like from internally within the team, that you feel? Do you ever feel like within this FaZe game, for example, that you were disincentivized to take duels because you had to be alive for when the sight hit came through or something like that?
Really feel like that, but I could see why people think that, because like I said, it's like back to the point where like Josh is pretty big on like anyone can entry. Like you
Right.
can just literally just start playing it like it's CS, so like just ignore your utility and think like every life is the same. So we're just like trying to work on like stuff like that. Um, but I didn't really feel that. It just happens to be like I'm the first person in, and like I end up dying, and like yeah.
Okay.
I've been just trying to value my life a little bit more. Yeah, that's just like in general a little bit more true, just regardless if it's phase or not. I think, but that's just because like the way I play is really aggressive, and I've been trying to like be a little bit more moderate about it, and like trying to see like what play style I guess is like the best, and what could lead to the more rounds won basically. Because sometimes being all the time first in, or being aggressive all the time and looking for the first fight for the team is just not good, because you don't really like, if you're not feeling it, and like, you know what I mean. You get
Sure,
the
sure.
general gist. But yeah, I mean, if they target me, that's just unlucky, really. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I
One of
don't
the
know what
things,
can I say.
now talking about that phase match we wanted to get into as well, was within that challenger that you qualified. That was the debut with Ethan, and there was there were noticeable improvements throughout that first challenger. Like day by day, you could tell. Like starting off where you were in the game that you lost to NRG, and then making it through the lower bracket into the finals. And yeah, you did lose to FaZe, but still at that point it felt like, okay, they're still working on things. Clearly, the team is so new.
Yeah, and it was only like a week since Ethan had been added to the team, even at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 days.
And
Yeah.
then the week following that, between that final game against FaZe and then the actual master event, and then there was the following. Then there was
the
one
week
more
break as
week,
well,
and then
yeah.
there was the week break, right? And it had kind of seemed from the outside looking in that there was more progress made within just that challenger than the actual following weeks. Like not a lot had actually changed, and the core issues that were plaguing the team, that being, it seemed like the trading and the fundamentals were off, kind of what you had said before. Those didn't see much in the way of improvement, and the only real visible change was the steal opping on Killjoy between the first and second week of Masters. So what was going on, I guess, behind the scenes, like in practice at that point? What did you guys feel that you needed to address? What were you trying to fix between each week of Masters?
Well, obviously, when we picked them up, we first had to like learn how to play this comp, I guess, again, because I forget what, like, to be honest, like, forget what we were doing without Dicey. But either way, we picked up Ethan. We had to like figure out his role, what we wanted to move. So Nick took one for the team, went out of his comfort role, and gave it to Ethan so he could be a little bit more comfortable, because we felt like learning Omen was a lot easier. So we had 5 days. And so we ended up playing Challengers 3. We lost to NRG. It was pretty close, but I forget how that game went. It's been a while. But yeah, it did feel like we were improving a lot every day, because we started, this is mainly in the boot camp, but we learned a lot more when obviously you lose than you win. So it was really easy to learn from the games that we lost. Um, Ironic for me to say that, because we lost to Sentinels and then showed a pretty bad performance in Gen.G. Um, but either way, it felt like we learned a lot in these VOD reviews, especially the one after Gen.G, because yeah, I'll get to that point later. But yeah, then we went on like I guess you can call it a lower bracket run all the way until the grand finals, where we lost
Sure.
to FaZe. But it felt like everything was just like clicking those games, and like it felt like we couldn't do any wrong, and it felt like we didn't really have the problem of like the fundamental problems where we did against like Gen.G. They weren't really apparent during like I don't know if it's like the teams we're facing or something, but I don't know. We beat Gen.G, and then we like we beat who do we beat T1, we beat TSM, we beat Gen.G, we beat LG.
Yeah.
Of course I was popping off, but that yeah, I don't know how those series would go if I didn't like start feeling myself, but yeah. And then we lost the phase, which I mean it's really I felt like it was really hard to get into that game. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, we already qualified for Masters, and like, yeah, it was just like you lost. They're already up one map as well. I now remember, and we lost the first map. And it's like, well, 2-0. All right,
Right,
and then
right.
like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's hard for me. It's like it feels kind of weird to say that because, yeah, but it's like hard to get into these games, and like, yeah,
Do you
and
think
like
is that because they're online, or is that because they're qualifier
maybe,
matches? I mean, it's still a $50,000 tournament at the end of the day, right? But I can
yeah.
understand where you're coming from. But what is the do you think you can narrow it down to a specific thing that makes it feel like that?
Nah, I mean maybe I haven't played a LAN, but I bet like on a LAN it'd be like a lot more like I don't know. The stakes between first and second just didn't like feel that big, and didn't feel like I don't know. But it feels wrong to say that, but it definitely felt like that. It feels like that a lot with these open qualifiers.
Right.
Regardless of like what happens, it feels like the adrenaline is just not there. You know what I mean? Like what I
Sure.
live for. You know, the grand finals, the first strike. You know what I mean? You're not like 150 heartbeats per minute. You're not like really just cracked out. You're just like, wow, we are getting smoked. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're already mapped down, and Baby Base
Yeah.
28
Yeah.
and
Baby Bay
11.
just
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like,
I remember I got revved in middle of mid, and then Baby Babe pops knives and just like, or he killed me with knives at the start. I get revved mid, and then he just dashes out all three of us, and just gets like three more. It was crazy. I was like, damn, this is the kind of Baby Bay that I've been hearing about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was funny. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you see this Boombot? I wanted to learn this lineup, but I never got to see a good Boombot lineup for this. What Corey's throwing right here. So Corey goes up here and just throws this Boombot. It's cool.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
speaking of lineups,
Sorry.
I have to ask.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Did you
Which
do?
game was
yeah.
that?
Did you do you? Okay, that the one time you did
Wait,
this.
which game was that in?
That was against. Oh
Ascent
god, it was on a.
against Gen.G.
Was
In
it
the
against
lower
Gen.G?
correct.
Was
I
it
think so.
Challengers?
Yeah, challengers.
Yeah, that was in Challengers. Okay.
God, I fucking creamed. Let's
mean, yeah,
let's
you
let's
did-
set the
you did
context. Actually,
cream. You
people
reached
might not understand why I'm
orgasm
creaming.
on stream. So, yeah, I'm sure you can find that clip, Kurt.
It was
I know
challenge-
Asuna tweeted it. And
Challengers 3 against Gen.G, was it?
yeah,
And
so you did
it was
yeah,
on
you did
Ascent.
you did a satchel lineup to destroy the Killjoy alt lockdown that is placed
you.
in the default spot in B main.
First time
Now-
I've ever seen a player do it, by the way.
And context, you had been talking about it on stream constantly.
I had,
you were
I
watching
had.
videos, you were studying. You kept saying, I can't wait until a pro does this.
Yeah, I
I
was.
can't wait.
I didn't know he said this until I like watched back and like yeah. But we were doing
destroys
it
the narrative.
because
It does.
Renegades did it to us in a scrim. And
Okay.
so yeah, Renegades, if you look at their comp, they run Rays all the time.
Yeah.
And they set up wins a lot, and we scrimmed them. They did it against us, and we were like, wait. And this was like a month before that comp, and we were running Reyna. And then when we switched to Rays, I was like, yo, I mean, I don't really like go server time that much. I'm like, I mean, might as well learn some satchel like lineups. And I spent like an hour finding one because it's like really weird. Because like when you pop the Killjoy ult, there's like these things at the sky that like the lines and stuff. I don't know. It's really hard to find the lineup, but either way, let me just explain. It took a while, but I found it with Silinx. He helped me out. Props to him. And then once we found that one, I didn't learn an A main one. That felt way too hard. But there are videos now where they give you one. And then I want to learn a retake. If you're attacking a site, you plant the bomb, and then you know the one where the defenders throw a retake A1. I learned that one as well, but I never got to use it.
Yeah.
So I learned those two. Like I had to go on top of generator and then
Yes.
like throw it over
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
I've seen
For
the
the-
lineups for them all. There's actually
Yeah.
lineups on every map as well. Like the Haven lineup is very replicable. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I just threw a nade at the one for against Immortals. I just started
Yes.
chucking the nade towards the corner. Like I didn't know a lineup. I just went into CT, just bounced the nade off that wall, and just landed in that corner and broke it. No more, no questions. Don't need to think about it.
yeah. I love that setup though. The mind games around that kind of stuff are sick. I've been watching Nature on Immortals put his lockdowns in like weird places for the A retake on Ascent. He was like putting them up on boxes and shit so that people couldn't do the double shock dart destruction for it and that kind of stuff.
Here it is.
Against-
Sideshow's about
against
to up. No
I remember
video,
against LG.
unfortunately.
Oh, sorry. I bet against LG, they like so on Icebox they say, you know, people usually put it on top of pipes. Do you guys know that
Yeah.
call out? Okay, yeah. He put it on the lower part, like all the way at
Yeah.
on the floor, and we had shocked our lineups for the pipes one. But on the mini map, it like here's the satchel line.
Yeah, that's sick.
Either way, he put it on the lower, so on the mini map when you ping it, it showed on top of pipes, and then like it was actually below it, and then like
Yeah.
our shock darts didn't break it. And I was like, oh wait, because like when you're calling this stuff, you say I got the killjoy lockdown. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then it doesn't break, and it's like wait,
Yeah.
what do we do now?
Yeah, it's a big commitment when you
It's
think
funny.
it's gonna break.
Yeah, it's funny because right here, Josh didn't even know if I was gonna break it because there was like like it took me 8 seconds like to throw the satchel and everything. Your reaction. I posted on Twitter.
I love it as well because the weird thing about the satchel, for anybody that isn't aware of this still, but I think it should be common knowledge at this point, is that as soon as the satchel lands on the floor, it does max damage to buildings. So you don't even have to wait for it to charge up. It just immediately does 600 damage as long as it lands on the surface.
You have to wait like half a second though. I always wait half a second.
I'm pretty sure it just does immediate 600 damage as soon as it lands on the floor, but it's always safer to make sure that it's landed anyway, you know? But yeah,
Sure,
and there's no counterplay because if unless you shoot it out of midair,
I don't even know if that's possible, honestly.
It used to be possible, but they might have changed it. But I've seen people shoot satchels.
It is possible because I remember like shooting at a guy, like, and then the race throws it and then it pops.
Yeah.
So it is possible actually, but I don't know if it is. I guess it's like a lot harder to throw it when you see it coming through a window.
Exactly.
And it sticks, yeah.
But if it lands on the surface and you shoot it, it still does max damage, so it still just gets destroyed. So it's like I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think the whole like system of that kind of stuff can get really nerdy, and also just fuck killjoys. Their ults are useless now. There's so many different ways to counter.
It's tragic to be a killjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of, one of the only teams still was running a killjoy.
True, actually.
All the time. I mean, almost all the time, not in Haven.
Is Steel not just molding at other people, coming up with different ways of ruining his lockdowns?
No, I haven't heard him complain about it, but I bet inside he's crying. But yeah, no, he enjoys Killjoy. I think Killjoy's still pretty good. I think Killjoy's a lot more. I don't know really. I don't know the difference between Killjoy and Cypher. I think it just depends on what your Sentinel really wants to play. I think that's like the same with Duelist, really. Sure, Duelist player really wants to play like one thing. Try it out, because like right now this game's a lot more comfort based. I feel like rather than like min maxing, as long as like you're playing like the general roles. And yeah, that's why I think like if TSM still ran their triple Duelist, it wouldn't even have been that bad, honestly. Because even though they have like 3 Duelist players, I feel like they could just all dominate. And yeah, but maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah. It does feel like within Valorant you have a lot of different flexibility to play your own style. I mean, you can see all the different regions are playing different stuff as well, and it's working within the regions, so it's probably pretty viable. I wanted to move on to Masters. I think that's a big meat of the discussion here. And before we talk about the Masters run at all, which we've labeled as disappointing here, which I think is, considering the expectations that were set on you, I think finishing 5th, 6th is not what you would have expected coming out from like the First Strike win and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to discuss a little bit what the team was even expecting, because like we've run through, you guys had Nitro having a kid, Ethan was brought in, you've changed your composition, all of this stuff. Like the feel within the team, was the feel within the team that you were like still a tier 1 team, able to win it all, as good as you were at First Strike, on that path to victory? Or did it feel like there was still hurdles to overcome as you came into Masters?
It felt like I was pretty happy to qualify for Masters, honestly. After we lost to NRG, I felt like, wow, maybe we're really going to struggle now, because like we picked up Ethan for like the long term, obviously, for the flexibility and like, stuff like that. So short term, obviously, it was going to be a little bit hard. But it felt like, so I was pretty content with what we did in Challenge 3. I was pretty happy with what we did in the first week of Masters, right? But then the second week, I felt like we should have done way better. I feel like 3rd place easily, because Gen.G should have been, like, we've always beat them. We haven't lost them, but then we just lost. So it felt like, I don't know. They've improved a lot, so I don't know. But it felt like we were like really bad. I don't like to take away credit from teams, but Gimon had a pretty good series, I remember.
Yeah, very good.
So I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Not really much to say.
What was-
Sorry, I wanted to ask about the
Yeah.
improvements because we started this
I was gonna ask
conversation.
the same thing.
Sure.
Right, there we go then. So
Yeah.
we started talking about like you guys having rapid
Yeah.
improvements throughout Challengers 3,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think a lot of that was just fixing up the stuff of Ethan being added to the team, basically. It's like simple stuff to begin with, the foundation blocks to get built. But then during Masters, it felt like that same rate of improvement slowed down drastically. When I was predicting like whether 100 Thieves would do well, I was saying, well, look at how much they improved during Challengers 3. They went from being like, wobbly to actually having some really cool stuff that you guys were showing throughout. Like you were adding every map, it felt like you were adding something new to your game. Like you started out and you're, figuring out the basics, and then you have some cool synergy between you and Nitro when he's playing on both roles, actually, the Breach and the Sage. And it felt like there was constantly things being added to your game to push you to that next level. But I didn't see that same development through Masters. And that might be because you are tweaking smaller things that aren't as visible from the outside, or it might be because, I don't know, it's just the rate of improvement actually did slow down. What did it feel like from the interior in terms of the development that you guys were doing throughout this run?
It felt like we were like actually developing pretty well. It's just we had a bad day, and we only got to play one BO3, and it showed really badly.
Right.
And it didn't feel like we were obviously improving team stuff, but like if we're all like missing our shots that day, it's just like gonna be a bad day. Let's put it, like regardless of how much we've improved and whatnot. I think that just like was mainly us individually, not really us as like a team, because we improve as a team and stuff like that. That's what people say. But yeah, we've improved as a team and stuff like that. So then like when we had a bad day, one BO3, and we had a week of prep and we played badly. Um, yeah, I think it was just like the narrative that's being portrayed from one BO3 because we had a week to prepare when it was just like an off day. I mean,
Right.
yeah, not really. Yeah, that's how I view it at least.
Sure.
Like this. Oh my God! No!
Oh,
Stop!
this was
Stop.
a tragedy. Kurt, stop the tape.
We still won the
we
round,
can't see
so
this
didn't
again.
matter.
This was tragic.
We still won the round. Didn't matter.
Oh, the slowest.
Did you win this round?
The slowest of peaks.
Yeah, we did. Me and Ethan 2v4
Really?
or 2v5. Yeah,
really?
I clutched.
Oh, keep rolling the tape.
Keep
the tape going.
Keep the
Kurt. I don't remember that happening. I just remember that tragedy at the beginning with the bucket.
I remember we talking about this round after, and I was like, I swear, I think our teammates just wanted to trade you instantly. And then I watched back, and there's literally 5 seconds pause between each kill. I'm like,
there is.
Wait, it did not feel like that in the match.
The slowest trades.
And that's the thing, right? Like within a match, your purpose is. I feel like this happens a lot where I can see the goal behind what people do, but the execution is like way off for whatever reason. Like maybe you're scared that there's a second guy there, or you don't like the communication is slightly off, but the end result ends up being that like you have a good idea, but the execution is just fucking miles off. Is that what it just felt like throughout that whole game
No, I
against
think this
Gen.G?
it felt like this round specifically felt like my bad because I've been experimenting going on top of pipes. So normally I clear that angle, and then Josh trades me or something, or Josh goes in first and I clear the angle. But I've been going on top of pipes, so I think that's where that went wrong.
Right.
Or not top of pipes, top of tube. My bad.
Right.
Oh yeah, top of tube. So I went on top of tube rather than going into tube, and I think that's where I went wrong. I don't know why my other two teammates went in like that. Not much to say about that.
Sure.
But that was just like one of those things where fundamentally it's just not there. Like that should never happen, no matter how you look at it. So that's what I mean by like off day.
Right, yeah. And that's what I was getting at. Like, were those the kind of mistakes that you just feel you wouldn't usually make? Oh, yeah, this was actually a sick clutch.
Just vac shot.
Yeah.
With this game, though, has to be brought up again, though. The steal op change was the most noticeable difference. Yep. And I remember that the week before you like won an OT on Ascent, and I remember Steal randomly, it seemed at the time he just randomly got an op. And he got like 2 kills, I think, at the beginning of the round on Cat. Oh, yeah. And then
we lost the round, I think.
Yes, you lost the round.
It was a 12-11 round. We lost the round. Then I had a judge and B main, and I get interpt. I remember. Yes.
Yeah, and then the week later, you play Gen.G on Ascent, and now he's opping all the time. Any chance he gets, he's buckying and he's opping.
Yeah, it felt like he only used one or the other weapon. I think it was.
Well,
I think every time he had the money to be able to buy an op. He bought it on both attack and defender side.
And on Icebox as well. He was opping on attack, and he found some success with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Icebox attack.
He's
he
a decent opper.
rounds.
It's just...
so I guess what led to that one? What was the discussion there?
I think like we're still trying to find our opper, I guess. So like right now we're just I guess experimenting really. I guess that's the only thing you can really word it, right? We're trying to find out who our main opper should be if we want one, and then like who should be using it. Like I mean, I even picked up the op in this Gen.G game because I had the money, and like why not? You know, because I opt back in Immortals a little bit. So I mean, yeah, it's just like we watched our tape back from like week 1 to week 2, and we felt like we just didn't have an op, and we felt like the fact that we didn't have an op at all gives these teams like it's easier to play against a team when you know they don't have an op. Like this, like when you're peeking an angle and you just think there's no op, it's a rifle for sure. And like the fight you're taking is a lot drastically different. You're able to take a lot more swings and gain a lot more, I guess, confidence. Because like when you're taking a rifle fight, it's usually like actual aim fight. But then op v rifle is like that guy's an op, so it's a point and click gun, and I have a lot harder of a gun. So.
Right.
We felt like we were giving them like these teams way too much respect, I guess, in a way. Like when we didn't run an op, because like, or not respect, we gave them too much room. That's the right word. We gave them too much room, and like they're able to like just swing these angles that like we can't. We were giving ourselves a limitation by not having an opper. Right now, I don't know what direction we're going. It's either like, going to be obviously one of Steel or Nick have to op or me, but most likely not me. I'm not gonna op on attack, by the way, never.
Sure.
But on defense, I'm talking about defense, by the way,
Yeah.
mainly. But attack, I think Steel or Nick has to like pick it up really at the moment. But who knows? Maybe Ethan. I don't know how good he was with the op back in his day. But yeah.
But I think the point you're getting to as well is that it's the threat of the op too. It's like they're worried about. It's not necessarily the impact you get in terms of kills. It's that you slow down the pace of your opponent. They're more wary. They have to use more utility to clear out angles. They have to be more telegraphed with where they're going because they're worried about swinging into ops. And is that something that you felt because you looked at the teams you were playing against that were opping? Like you guys felt the pressure of playing against ops, and so you wanted to put that on your opponents too?
Both. I think that's like a fair response, right?
Right.
We played against oppers like Tyson. We get opped. And then we also feel like they're just swinging these angles that we can't swing because of like there could be an op there. So, yeah.
Right. That's
Makes
an
sense.
interesting development. It's just it feels like a lot of what we're discussing is 100 Thieves still really figuring shit out, and in a
it's
way
a lot
that
harder.
Yeah, in a way that some other teams feel like they've already. I don't know. It feels like some other teams, when we talk to them, they spend, I don't know, maybe like a week, 2 weeks, like hardcore figuring something out, and then they come out the other end. It seems like it's a very long process with 100 Thieves, like a long developmental process where you guys are testing a lot of different stuff, even within matches rather than in scrims.
Well, yeah, the stuff we're testing is like stuff we tested in scrims, and then like we still don't know if it's good or what, or if it's bad, and then like we're still running that, so we have to run it in matches because we've been practicing with it for so long, for, like
Right.
4 days. So like might as well just try it in like these matches. If it doesn't work, then we'll have like actual tape because like we only have player POVs when we watch back our scrims, so it's like pretty hard to like see where something went wrong unless you like combine all 5 POVs, look at what everyone's doing and stuff like that. And then even then, you don't know how your opponents are responding to like certain stuff. But yeah, I was gonna say something else.
Is it fair then to say that 100 Thieves as a team, I don't mean the organization, but the team is looking at this as extremely long term, like the whole of 2021? Because I think if it was like CS where there's massive tournaments all the time, it feels like there's a more short term focus. Like we must be good, we must win these tournaments early on. But the way that you guys approached this Masters feels, I don't want to say it's like experimental, even though we keep using that word, because that implies that you guys are doing crazy shit. It's not crazy. It's just that you guys are
new look.
Yeah, it's new, but it's also just small iterations. It's just little iterative steps in different directions to try and figure out which branch you should be going down. But that's not the kind of stuff that you tend to do if you have a very short-term focus. Or like even a winning focus. You know what I mean? Like if you really want to win, you just kind of do short-term shit. You don't think about the long term.
Yeah, it's like when Liquid just tried to set up Scream to just get 90 frags. Everybody play your comfort roles and let's see what we can do. And then they made the finals of, what was it, Red Bull?
Yeah, of Red Bull, where it's like...
Everyone plays their comfort picks. Everyone go frag out. And then,
yeah. Whereas with to contrast that, the 100 Thieves approach from what you're saying appears to be much more like, let's figure out stuff so we can win champions at the end of the year, not Masters 1 now. Is that something that's been consciously discussed within the team?
No, I don't. I mean, I think like what we're trying to do, we believe is the right path, but it just doesn't pan out. Like, I mean, it's not like we're taking the wrong path on purpose and like trying to lose.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not thinking, oh, let's put Josh on Killjoy out because we think it's worse. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I personally think like Sentinels were the best team, right, in this Masters. There's no doubt. And then FaZe, like, I don't know if we would have beaten them like at all, but maybe we could have beaten them. But I think third would have been pretty fair to say if we beat Gen.G. So I do think like in that regard it was disappointing. But yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to just like figure out what our team like where we go because like for all I know we could run double Duelist like Ethan on Duelist, like, you know what I mean? He's been teasing it. I mean, we'll find out. We play what, in 3 days or something, so we'll know. We'll see, because like even then, open qualifiers are just open qualifiers, so like we could change that by challengers 1 and stuff. But
it is
we are definitely
ridiculously
looking at
hectic, the schedule.
Yeah, it's because of like Iceland.
Yeah,
they had to move everything like forward because of Iceland, and like now we play like so much earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
It is
they want to
crazy.
fit in the LAN, and since like MSI is happening, and then like I think they only had like dates after, and so like we get this like hectic schedule where everything's like 2-week break, instantly play open qualifier now. We didn't know that until after like when Masters basically like ended, which was weird.
Yeah. So yeah, you got. I mean, a kind of again, not an immense amount of time to actually make significant forward progress, I suppose. I mean, it's just it's a small time frame from what is it, like 2.5 weeks or something?
Yeah.
Like not even 3 weeks.
Break, so.
And that, I think, going back to one of our original points, that does make it very difficult, even internally, to address whether you guys have made the right decision, but it hasn't worked out, or made the wrong decision. Like it's really hard to tell that. I wanted to get onto something else that happened during Masters that was fucking hilarious.
What was that?
Which was Asuna just scrolling through Twitter at the AT&T.
That was so funny.
The AT&T Valorant practice room.
That was so funny.
The entire drama situation that occurred was hilarious in and of itself. But obviously, like, okay, people, I don't know, people enjoy drama. People love drama. And then there's just you in the corner just scrolling Twitter. Scrolling Twitter. Everyone else is like in the background, like, oh, what's happening?
I know, and then Frost says something spicy, and then you can see Nitro and Steel like, oh my god, and then he just scrolling.
And Asuna's just sat there scrolling Twitter. Were you in a high school class? Did you even know what was going on?
I was just chilling, vibing. I mean, I don't care, honestly. I was just catching up with JC Stanny because I'm friends with them. So I was messaging JC Stanny for the first like 30 minutes, like asking him like, yo, how's college, stuff like that, like how are things over there. I mean, and then I noticed like, wait, it's taking a while, like a little bit longer than usual. And then I realized, oh, we're arguing. Okay. And then I go on Twitter, start scrolling, and then eventually servers got picked, and like, yeah, I'm like, okay. And then I heard, so you know what's funny? There's only a 4-minute clip out, right? But I don't think we talked to them until 40 minutes after. So like, there's not even like, if people are like, there's an hour clip. I don't think there is an hour clip because I was talking. We were talking to them in text. So like the players, like in the lobby chat. And then we stopped, and then we went to Discord like 40 minutes later, and then I don't know what really happened because like as you can see, I was on Twitter. So don't ask me for my opinion. Don't ask for my opinion. I was like, I think I was on my phone and Twitter and just like chilling, trying to get my head in the game, not remove all the outside focus. But yeah, I don't know, not really much to say.
Yeah,
it's just,
I mean,
it's just a silly. It's just funny. It's just funny.
It
Just
is
I
funny.
don't know what was happening then.
It really is just
Yeah,
amusing.
I do think Riot made it a lot bigger than it had to be, but they are trying to set a precedent, so I do
Sure.
understand that. I think that's just like my take on it.
Yeah, yeah. Here's where I want to kind of start wrapping things up. We've talked a little bit about the future of the composition, and you guys, you've kind of hinted towards some directions that the team could be going in, but I imagine that there isn't a like set in stone path at the moment. So I don't want to try and press you for like, well, I don't know what's happening next, because I know that
I don't know at all because
Exactly.
well, we have 4 other players on our team, so like they're all gonna chime in. And I'll be honest, my take on the game is vastly different than Josh's. So
Sure.
I mean, I don't have like I think the best approach to the game, so I don't really like to tune into like or not tune in. I don't like to like really hard press my opinion on like changing agents and stuff because
Yeah.
I personally think I don't see a good vision of the game because I just play ranked all day, so I have a pretty bad take on it. That's just my take on my opinion.
I mean, that's
That
fair
makes any
enough.
sense.
Most players don't realize when they have bad takes on the game,
Yeah.
and they just press their opinion anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, I just like to sit back, listen to what Josh has to say, and listen to him. That's it.
I want to talk about a bit though that your expectations for 2021 for the team, because the trajectory in 2021 at the beginning, if you came in January 1st and you sat people down and you said, "What do you think about 100 Thieves in 2021?" People would be saying, "To the fucking moon." Like, this team looks like they have the trajectory to be the number 1 team in NA. They have the consistent structure. They have a big organization backing them, cracked out players. Like, it all looked good. And then even the move to add Ethan in and that kind of stuff, all a good move. But the meteoric rise has not really, the trajectory has not continued. And now I think comes a bit of a, at the end of the first Masters, an opportunity to reassess expectations within the community, and also to kind of tap into what you guys are thinking as well. Where do you see yourselves within the scene, and what do you think you are like aiming for immediately? Obviously, you want to win all of your games, but to say we're immediately going to be the best team in 1 week from now is kind of, it's not going to happen, because you've only got a week to improve.
Yeah.
So what are your goals for the team in the short term and moving forwards in 2020?
My like for 2021, I just want to be one of the teams representing NA. That's just like that's my goal really. I don't really yeah, like I mean, for all I know, the other regions are 10 times better than us, like literally just miles ahead of us. So like I will see like how that goes like internationally, but locally I just want to be one of the best NA teams like that just represent us, like to Iceland, stuff like that.
Yeah,
That seems like something really cool. I want to be like one of those teams. But like right now we just have to make small improvements and stuff like that. And then if you told me like January 1st, I mean, I think in first strike we got lucky with like the situations that were occurring at that time, and it gave us like because I think Sentinels were probably still like the best team at that time. They like pretty close to beating us. They took a map off us, and they like I think it was pretty close series. Um, they could have won that event, and then we would have gotten a third to fourth, and then like we'd have a different like people would approach us differently. I think.
sure.
Um, so I do think that, and then but I do think we're a nice little like top 3 team is like pretty easy for us to reach, even in a week, I'd say. Because I think the gap between like okay, Sentinels is pretty high up, right? But then every other and like even FaZe, if they're on their game, but then every other team I feel like is pretty attainable at the moment at least. Especially in looking back at Masters 2, or Masters 1, sorry. I think it's like pretty easy for us to be top 3 and like if we're on a good day and we improve in a week. Um, that's just my take. And then hopefully at the end, it is pretty hard to get into champions now that like we didn't get these Masters 1 points. Um, because like this is the only local like I don't know how you guys know how the circuit works, but like
Yeah,
basically this is the only like local one that you get a lot of points for. And then like unless your region's like the best of the best, the Masters 2 and Masters 3 will be a lot harder. And then there's like a last chance qualifier, I think, for
yes,
champions.
yeah.
But not really
Yeah.
today up to date because like that's still what like 7 months away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully I answered that well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that that's an interesting look at what's going on within 100 Thieves.
Yeah. At the
That's
beginning of
just
the
my luck, by the way, not the team.
Sure,
I don't
yeah,
know
of
what my
course.
teammates think.
Yeah, for sure. at the beginning of the year, and I guess getting into challengers and like the loss to Carpe and Noctem, and like, did you guys have to, or not did you have to, but rather, I guess, what was the state of the team like at that point? Was there a level of frustration that the team had to get over from winning first strike and then into we couldn't even make it through the open qualifier and then, you know, struggling
No, we
in
made
challengers?
it. We wrote in we registered. We registered for the open qualifier.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess, was there any period of time then where the team there was any like frustration in the team or issues like that you guys had to work through?
Personally, no. I'm pretty like lax, I'd say. I'm like just like I've said numerous times, vibing. I'm just here to play a game, whatever, just trying to enjoy my time. But like for them, it definitely I can like feel like I feel sad just because like I'm not showing up for my teammates in a way because like they want to make this like they're at like their end of their careers. I'm at the start of mine, so I want to make it so they have like a good exit. You know what I mean? And like you know what I mean. You get the gist.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I do. It
Yeah.
sounds like you're a mafia boss trying to take them on a nice walk before you put them down.
Nah, but like that's how I view it. So like I whenever they get frustrated, I definitely like feel bad. Um, I guess like sad, but like I don't. Yeah, because like I do want to like live up to their expectations, and I do want to like you know give them a nice showing. I guess I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, that's but the frustration. I think we always just thought like once Nitro comes back, everything will be good. So that's how we thought if we lost the Carpe and knocked them in. I mean, we Challengers 2 was pretty. I forget how that went really. I mean, that was only like 2 months ago or 1 month, but feels like years. But yeah, I forgot how that went. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best of luck in the future as well. 100 Thieves are a fun team to always follow. You guys
I'll try to be.
very much playing a different style to a lot of the other teams. And personally, I have no idea what you're going to do in the future, what the team is going towards. But I really feel like it would be an unfortunate loss for the NA scene if you guys went to, play like the double duelist and shit again and just went back to playing the Jett, because I like the road that you were going down. Yeah. I like the road that you guys were going down.
Sorry, I can't wait to see like the Reddit comments like NA is better than EU because 100 Thieves stopped playing the single duelist. That's gonna be
exactly.
like beautiful to see.
Yeah, that's I think like gonna be everybody's narrative as well. But I think you guys had something there. I personally would have liked to see you continue to work on it. Maybe you will. It'll be cool to continue following you throughout these tournaments.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see how Astra impacts. I don't know. I don't even know if we're playing it. I know we tried it out a little bit. I won't say who was playing it, but let's just say they have a big brain. I'm kidding. But yeah, they were playing Astra. We had like 2 scrims with it. It was fun, but we scrimmed against her a lot because leading up to Masters 2, a lot of the teams in Masters didn't get good scrims because of like Astra. Because like you don't want to scrim the people you're gonna play like in the BO3. Then you're scrimming these like other teams, but they're running Astra because they want to play Astra. And then like you can't force them not to because then you won't have any scrims. So it was just like weird these practice where I'm getting like black holed and we don't even have like an Astra. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a little strange, and I think a lot of people are excited to watch her in the games as well.
Yep.
Good luck for Masters 2 though. It would be cool to see you representing North America at Reykjavik. So I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Asuna. Continue on your protagonist anime journey throughout North America.
I'll try to give you a good one.
Yeah. All right. And if you're interested in watching more PlatChat content, then Wednesday, is it? Is Wednesday when we release the episodes usually?
Wednesday.
Yeah, and you can subscribe to our YouTube. That's new. Isn't that new? I haven't seen that before.
That's a new little lower third.
That's a
Check
new
that
one.
out.
Look at that.
What's
Subscribe to our YouTube. A lot of you guys are watching that aren't subscribed to the YouTube, so I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video. None of you are around anymore, are you? It's only the dedicated viewers that are already subbed. Well, there we go. Missed opportunity, I suppose. See you guys for the next one.